Our story begins with two families parting ways, with a boy and a girl standing together. The girl is saying goodbye to the boy, but he looks sad. She reaches out her hands to him, thanking him while crying, because he always protected her. She tells him that once she leaves, she will do everything she can to become a powerful sorceress, promising they will meet again. He nods in response and shakes her hand. Next, we jump ahead to when they are older. A few delinquent kids are calling out to Morihito, now grown up. One of them tells him that what he did a few days ago won't be forgotten easily. Morihito asks them who they even are, which makes them angry, and they introduce themselves. One of them, named Momoda, reminds him that a few days ago, they were bullying a student when Morihito came to rescue him, and while doing so, he was bullying them back, which really annoyed them. They start to attack him, but Morihito easily dodges their blows, appearing stronger than them and not wanting to hit them back. However, in the end, Momoda manages to hit him. Later, we find Morihito at home, where his father asks him why he let them hit him when he could have easily defeated them. Morihito explains that Momoda was someone he let hit him in the past. When he was younger, he injured him badly. His father points out that this is no excuse, as that was in the past, and they taught him how to control his strength. Morihito argues that if he hadn't allowed Momoda to hit him, he wouldn't have gotten rid of them, and he believes that what he did was the safest option. While they are eating, his father asks if he remembers the little witch girl he said goodbye to a long time ago. Morihito is shocked and recalls his memories with her, which were filled with injuries. He remembers her coming to the 4th grade and saying she would go to witch school to learn magic. His father informs him that she finished that training and plans to return, and she also decided that he would be her guardian. Morihito is shocked again and accidentally spills his food on his father, who understands his surprise, as guardians of witches are typically animals. However, in the past, those animals managed to absorb magical energy from witches and take human forms, eventually marrying real humans and giving birth to a new lineage called the lineage of the Wraiths. It turns out that Morihito and his father belong to this lineage, which is why they have an agreement with the witches that their lineage will serve as guardians. Thus, they must uphold this pact. Morihito, however, snaps, telling his father that he doesn't want to be associated with anyone, making it clear that this isn't a good situation for him. His father insists that they have a covenant and he must abide by it. Morihito gets angry and suggests his father be her personal guardian instead. His father explains he would have done that, but unfortunately has a very important work trip and is leaving tomorrow. Morihito calms down and continues eating as his father finishes the story, stating that Nico will be staying in the City of Witches for personal reasons, meaning he and Nico will be living together here alone. Morihito is even more shocked and spills his food on his father again, who accuses him of doing it on purpose. Morihito reflects on the matter. Next, we switch to Nico, who is returning to the city, feeling really happy and hoping Morihito is doing well. We go back to Morihito, who is sitting in his room, reminiscing about memories with Nico when she couldn't even pronounce his name, calling him Moi instead. He thinks to himself about how much she has matured. Suddenly, Nico breaks a window in his room and falls in front of him. Morihito is shocked, thinking she is a thief, but she apologizes, saying that she lost her balance and fell in. When she gets up, she introduces herself as Moi, and Morihito is shocked by how she looks, with her telling him she kept her promise and they met again. They share a nice moment, but Moi interrupts, saying they need to clean the room right now. While cleaning, he mentions that he can't believe she made such a problem right from her arrival and broke the glass. Nico becomes very embarrassed and tries to help him, but he insists she should just rest, giving her some cookies to eat. As she eats, she looks at Moi, noting that he has grown into a handsome young man, but he is still as straightforward as before. She begins to imagine things in her head, and Moi interrupts her thoughts, saying he knows everything happened suddenly, but he is sure they can manage their problems. She apologizes for everything happening so suddenly, explaining her mom chose everything for her, and he reassures her that it's not a big deal since they have a pact they must adhere to. The important thing now is to clear the glass. She tells him she can fix it with her magic, and when he asks if she's serious, she replies that of course he doesn't know she's a witch. She explains that to use the spell for fixing the glass, she needs a medium. He asks what a medium is, and she suggests he finds something precious to him. He shows her his favorite cup, and she thinks it's perfect to use. She takes it and starts performing the spell. Moi is in shock as Nico manages to fix the glass, but suddenly, he hears something break. When he looks next to him, he is shocked to see his cup smashed. Nico then explains that, to fix something broken, the medium used must be tied to strong emotions belonging to the owner. Moi gets angry, saying she should have told him this from the start because that cup meant a lot to him. Nico apologizes, admitting she should have used something of hers instead, still depending on him like they did when they were kids. However, he tells her she has changed. The important thing is that the window is fixed, regardless of the fact that his cup is broken. The magic is amazing. Then he tells her at first he didn't recognize her, which makes her very happy, and she says she can show him many other spells if he wants. However, he declines, and she insists, wanting to show him a new spell that turns anything into a flat paper. He tells her he doesn't want to see any more spells after breaking his cup. She says it will eventually return to its original state. She then decides to perform the spell on herself, which she indeed does, leaving Moi in shock. Nico, unable to control herself, finds everything around her wavy and accidentally flies out the window. Moi was shocked by what happened and said that Nico was still being reckless as usual. He tried to catch up with her but couldn't grab her more than once until she got stuck in a narrow corridor. Moi couldn't get her out, so he asked her to wait until he fetched a broom to pull her out. She told him that the spell's duration was about to end, and if she didn't get out of that corridor, she would really become a flat woman. Suddenly, Momoda appeared and asked Moi what he was doing in front of his house, wondering if Moi came to get revenge on him. But Moi said seriously, "I urgently need a vacuum cleaner. This situation is extremely dangerous." Momoda reacted coldly and asked if Moi wanted to fight or what. Moi remembered when they were kids, how Momoda punched him and broke his arm. Then Momoda and his friends came and beat Moi hard in front of Nico, who had no reaction despite having the strength to fight back. Afterwards, his dad told him that he acted correctly. Moi asked his dad why they had the strength of ghouls anyway, saying it was bad. His dad explained that he could get training to control his power, emphasizing that strength is important because it makes its owner strong-hearted. After that, we see that Moi was furious and used his power. Momoda felt scared and thought Moi was going to kill him, but at the last moment, Moi used his power to break the wall and managed to pull Nico out safely. Nico returned to her normal self at just the right moment. Momoda was stunned to see Nico again, and she greeted him by saying, "Hello, grassfish." Momoda got angry and said they had to fix his wall now, or he wouldn't spare them. Moi asked Nico if she could fix the wall, and she said she could but needed something valuable from its owner. At that point, Moi decided to use Momoda's hair for the spell, and indeed, the wall was fixed, leaving Momoda bald and confused about what happened. Moi and Nico then left, and Nico apologized to Moi for what happened, asking if it was a mistake to use Momoda's hair. Moi reassured her that they were now even. She agreed, and Moi continued, saying everything ended well, and now they needed to go home. Suddenly, Nico stopped and said she wanted a favor. It turned out she wanted to buy clothes, and ended up buying a lot, making Moi wonder about the amount as he carried it, feeling like his arm was going to break. She joked that he shouldn't say that because he's a strong ghoul. Then she said she would cast a spell to help him, and the spell made things really light. When Moi tried to carry the items after Nico's spell ended, he was shocked by their lightness and told Nico that her magic was incredible and very useful, which made her extremely happy. She started walking, and Moi thought about whether she was really ready to let the whole town know she was a witch because that would attract attention and put her life at risk. Nico retorted, asking what he wanted her to do. Stay locked in the house? Moi said that would be good, and would reduce the risks. She replied that she understood his thinking but pointed out that there was a rule among witches that they had to help people, and also that spells from novice witches like her were unstable, so interacting with people would help stabilize her skills. Staying alone would only make her sink into dark magic. He told her it was better for her to interact with people while using magic, and she agreed, knowing it would be hard for him, but it was like completing her training so she could become a powerful witch capable of helping others. Moi smiled, thinking that Nico's dream was wonderful, and he had to help her achieve it. He said, "Okay, I'll be your guardian, and I'll help you with whatever you need." Nico was stunned by his reaction and began to think about how to act if they started dating. Meanwhile, a fire broke out in one of the towers, and there was a woman calling for help. Nico decided to assist her, but Moi tried to stop her, saying it would be dangerous, especially with so many people around. Nico reminded him that she had previously told him that she would use her magic to help others, and pulled out her flying broom. Moi decided to help her and told her to fly on the broom while he rescued the woman. They began to execute their plan amidst the crowd's shock. Moi asked the woman to throw things to them, and when she did, they almost fell to the ground due to the load's weight. Nico used her lightness spell to make Moi lighter, and they saved the situation at the last moment. But it seemed the spell also affected Moi's mind, causing him to say strange things, and that's when the realization hit that the lightness spell makes people cheerful. The woman was shocked by what was happening, asking how they were flying like that as if it were normal. They began explaining it to her, but while they were flying, the lightness spell started to wear off, and they were about to fall again. However, they managed to land safely, and were celebrating their descent as the woman thanked them for saving her life. Then Nico remembered they had left the belongings and decided to go back to get them. They said goodbye to the woman and left, while she was astonished by what had occurred. After that, we switched to Moi and Nico, who had returned home and were exhausted from carrying the heavy items, which felt heavier than usual. When Nico read the spell book, she discovered that it had side effects from the lightness spell, which affected both Moi and Nico, causing them to collapse to the ground. Later, Moi and Nico were grumbling in frustration because they hadn't expected their day to turn out like this, with all these incidents happening. Eventually, they got ready for bed, and Nico said to Moi that their new life would officially begin tomorrow, hoping he would take good care of her during this period. He told her not to say such weird things and to go sleep in her room. Nico replied okay, and before heading to her room, she thanked him for what he did that day, saying it was amazing that he could control his power now, implying he must have gone through tough training. He confirmed that. Then, he started remembering what his dad said about a disaster happening to Nico within a year. Moi was shocked by this, and his father explained he knew due to Nico's father being a seer who could see the future, but they didn't have details about what exactly would happen. When Moi tried to figure out a solution for the disaster, he realized that Nico needed a guardian to survive. Moi pondered how to save Nico from what was coming while she looked at him with affection. The next day, Nico went out talking to Mai and asked him how he felt after their first day living together. He coldly replied that it was nothing, and she was supposed to get dressed and come downstairs right away, not come to his room. She was thinking, not believing that she was living with Mai in the same house. Anyway, they arrived at school, and Nico was really happy, saying her teenage life had finally begun. When she looked at the class list, she was thrilled to see that she and Mai were in the same class. Nico kept thinking that she was a witch, but hoped to make many friends. Meanwhile, Mai was thinking about how he would deal with the disaster he was in. After the welcome meeting for the students, Nico and Mai were walking through the school, and Nico was looking at the students, feeling really excited because all the students were her age, and there were strong connections among them. She wished she could have a relationship like theirs. Then she looked at Mai, who called her over and said they needed to talk. She was thinking he was going to confess his feelings for her, but when they stopped to talk, he said, "I want you to promise that when you introduce yourself, you won't mention that you're a witch, and don't use your magic at school to avoid problems." Of course, she was annoyed by what he said. Then they went to class, and their teacher introduced herself. She was about to share her hobby, but started thinking about how if she said her hobby was reading manga, she'd get teased and bullied. So she decided to say her hobby was dancing instead. In any case, the students said she was odd. After that, the teacher mentioned that she would call on the students to introduce themselves. At that moment, Mai told Nico not to forget what he advised her and not to say she was a witch, but she was thinking to herself that she wanted to help everyone with her powers. However, Mai remembered what his father said about a disaster happening to Nico within a year, so he was trying to take all precautions. Then the teacher started with the boys, and most of them were quirky. Nico noticed that Mai was taking notes about the students so he could interact with them better as her guardian. Then it was the girls' turn, and while Mai was taking notes, he made a mistake. When he started to erase it, the eraser broke, and he looked sad and very tense. Nico was thinking about how to help him because he looked so down, and she started to imagine that if she helped him, he might change his mind, love her more, and let her use her magic freely. She decided to use a spell that could turn anything into something bigger. She started explaining the spell, and then began to execute it, but by mistake, she hit a part of Mai's hair. Indeed, that part grew wildly, and when the teacher saw it, she exclaimed, "Has John Freaks enrolled in our school or what?" She was nervous and couldn't believe what she saw. Nico was also scared and didn't know what to do, deciding to reverse the spell by doing the same spell again. But when she tried, she accidentally hit Mai's head instead, making his head gigantic. Mai didn't notice what had happened during all this time. Then another student began to introduce himself and told some jokes that made everyone laugh, even Mai. When it was Mai's turn to introduce himself, the teacher looked at him and was alarmed. She thought to herself that she was sure this was all just a figment of her imagination since she had stayed up late last night. Nico was trying to reverse the spell again, but this time, she accidentally hit his arm. At that point, Mai noticed what had happened and looked at Nico, who was showing signs that she was the one who did all this, and was also trying to apologize to him. When he stood up to introduce himself, he was trying to hide his arm, and all the students were puzzled by his way of standing and talking. Mai thought to himself that now everyone would think he was odd. However, things went well. Afterwards, Mai put his arm in front of Nico for her to reverse the spell and return it to its normal size. But at the same time, it was Nico's turn to introduce herself, and when she stood up quickly, she accidentally hit herself with the spell and became enormous. Everyone in the class was terrified. At that point, she introduced herself and said she was a witch, which made Mai very frustrated. But the teacher explained that they had been chosen by her mother to be witches from the start, so it wasn't a surprise. Nico was standing there looking sad, while everyone was casting curious glances at her. Mai thought to himself that he wanted her to have a friend, but after what happened, he didn't think anyone would want to get to know her. After school, Mai offered to take Nico home, and she agreed, but one of her classmates called her over and invited her to walk home with them and stop at a restaurant on the way, and Mai agreed, making Nico happy. When the girls arrived at the restaurant, they encountered some guys trying to flirt with them, saying, "You girls are really cute. Why don't you go out with us?" One of the girls, however, said, "Forget them. Let's go into the restaurant right away." At that moment, one of the guys tried to talk to her, but she snapped back, "We're not going to waste a single second with losers like you," which left the guys shocked by her words. They then left, and the girls went into the restaurant. Later, Nico told the girl named Kara that what she did was really amazing, which made Kara blush deeply. Kara replied, "Just ignore it. Tell me about yourself, Nico." Then Kokomi added that it was great to have a witch with them at school, and wanted Nico to tell her about magic and spells. She asked if Nico could really use magic. Nico spoke confidently, saying that she could and that it was very easy, making Kara remark that this confidence might be dangerous. Nico started talking, saying that where she used to live, she didn't have friends her age, so she spent a lot of time alone. She was really looking forward to hanging out with friends her age like they were now. Nico asked if Kara and Kokomi had been friends since middle school. Kokomi confirmed and added that she was a lonely girl back in middle school who loved reading books, which made other students tease her, calling her strange. But one day, Kara Kara came up to Kokomi and invited her to go to a restaurant, and Kokomi agreed. Since then, they had been friends. Nico remarked that what Kara did was incredible, making Kara blush again, but then Kara said, "Forget me, tell me about that handsome guy you're hanging out with at school." Nico replied, "Oh, you mean Moe? He's my childhood friend," which shocked Kara. She asked, "If you're childhood friends, why do you talk to him like that? He responds to you like that too. I'm sure you have a romantic relationship." Nico quickly denied it, and Kara continued, "Then why do you go back to the same house?" Nico explained, "That's because we live together," which drove Kara insane, and she exclaimed, "What are you saying? That's so inappropriate." Nico felt embarrassed and didn't know what to say. Meanwhile, the guys were waiting outside, vowing to take revenge. Then Kara said to Nico, "How about you tell us about your relationship with Moe and introduce him to us? I want to get a boyfriend." And Kokomi was also in favor of this. At the same time, the guys were preparing to attack them, but Moe was watching the situation and punched all the boys mercilessly. During this time, someone was saying false things about Moe and belittling him, creating a very bad image of him. As the girls left the restaurant, they said they felt deceived by Moe's appearance. Nico thought to herself that she was sorry for what she said, but felt a bit jealous. The next day, students gathered around Nico, saying she was amazing, which made Moe happy as he was worried Nico wouldn't be able to make friends. On the other hand, some boys were also asking Moe to introduce them to Nico. Kara was asking them to show their magic, making Moe angry about it, but Nico was really excited and started using spells. When the teacher walked in and saw the state of the classroom, she exclaimed, "Did I walk into a castle from an anime about demon slayers or what?" Then the teacher began to talk, saying she thought she had entered the wrong place but understood what happened and didn't want any more fooling around. She started explaining the lesson and then told them they needed to do some sport called futsal, but the students protested. However, she said, "We don't have to exhaust ourselves. We can use Nico's magic to help us." All the students agreed to this, but of course, Moe was angry, saying magic shouldn't be used for fun. But in the end, they went down to the schoolyard to start things up. Nico was trying to explain the rules and began using her magic. After that, she made everyone fly, and they couldn't believe what was happening. Each student used gravity magic in a way that reflected their personality, but in the end, they all blended in and used magic in one way. The teacher watched in shock and amazement, and some students from other classes were watching what was happening and wishing to join them. Afterward, Moe asked Nico if she was okay, because he was sure she was using a lot of magical energy. She said, "Don't worry, I'm fine. I can recharge my magical strength by eating some food. What matters to me most is that everyone is enjoying it, because I was destined to be born as a witch, and I'm happy to make everyone enjoy my magic." Moe then said, "If that's how you feel, I'm the complete opposite. I haven't felt a moment of joy since I was born as a ghoul." Nico replied, "But your power is incredible. You should tell everyone about it." That's when Moe remembered when he was little and how his friends distanced themselves from him because he wasn't normal. He told Nico, "If I tell everyone I'm a ghoul, then no one will ever deal with me again." At that moment, a car drove into the schoolyard, accidentally entering Nico's magical field and flying quickly in the air. When it exited the magical field, it seemed poised to crash to the ground and kill everyone inside. But at the crucial moment, Moe intervened and saved the vehicle. Everyone was shocked by what they saw and wondered how he did it. Nico was about to tell them she used her magic, but Moe stopped her, saying, "Actually, I'm a ghoul. Please don't avoid me." He was surprised when everyone told him he was amazing, welcoming him and being impressed by his strength. Moe was shocked and asked, "Why aren't you scared of me or avoiding me?" They replied, "Dude, we were flying just a moment ago, so of course, we won't be surprised if we find out that the childhood friend of the witch is a ghoul." Moe thought to himself that these students might be mentally challenged, but it was fine. Everything worked out well, and now the witch and the ghoul were no longer a secret. After that, their class became the source of legendary stories, but everyone's reactions were positive towards them, and everyone wanted to become friends with Moe and Nico and bond with them. Then we see Mama Nico using the prophecy book, laughing mischievously as she says she's gotten used to this annoying laugh. We learn she's using her power to predict what will happen, and the book starts by mentioning some numbers that correspond to words on certain pages and lines. By gathering these words, Mama Nico will predict the future. When she finishes reading, she finds out a dog and raindrops will cause a disaster. Next, we move to Moe, who is preparing a cup of coffee. He mentions how much he loves this calm routine, and even though his cup broke, he got a new one that looks great. He enjoys these peaceful moments on the weekend. Then Nico wakes up. She's trying to get Mai's attention, thinking to herself about how great her pajamas are, but he shows no interest, looking spaced out. Nico wonders why he's reacting this way. She expected him to say something. Mai then tells her that just because it's a holiday, she shouldn't be lazy and to change her clothes right away, which makes her complain that he's worse than her mom. He points out that all her clothes look the same, shocking her. She argues that all her outfits have different shapes but similar details, making her look alike. She sees how today's girls are always fashionable and shows him a magazine with new styles, but admits she doesn't have any. It's no surprise Mai looks disinterested interested. Nico thinks she needs to put more effort into keeping up with today's trends, but decides to use magic instead. She casts a spell to turn the clothes in the pictures into real clothes. But since the clothes in the pictures only show the front, the back of the clothes that appear is transparent. Nico is unsure of what to do, and thinks she doesn't want Mai to see the back, so she hesitates. In the end, she decides to go out and show him the new clothes. When she does, Mai is confused by her behavior, and she asks him not to look, which surprises him. He doesn't understand what's happening. Nico strikes a weird pose in front of him like she's wrestling. He isn't bothered and decides to make another cup of coffee, but when he stands, she accuses him of being a pervert, leaving him shocked. She tells him to stay still, and he sits down, complying. She moves sideways until she stands in front of him again, asking him what he thinks. Mai doesn't get it, and she insists he shouldn't make her explain in detail. She asks him what he thinks of her outfit, and he says it looks nice, he didn't know she had such clothes. Then he realizes she wants to go out and tells her she dressed up for that reason, urging her to let's go out now. She yells, "Of course not. How does he expect her to go out like this?" He doesn't understand what's going on, so he asks what she said. He didn't say anything strange. She bashfully tells him no. He didn't say anything odd. She just wanted him to see the outfit. He tells her it's pretty, but her usual clothes are also nice, comfortable, and simple. He believes people look more beautiful in the clothes they love, which shocks and embarrasses Nico. Determined, she rushes to change clothes, but she forgets about the transparent part of her outfit. Moe is taken aback by what he sees and asks if this is the fashion these days, making Nico say of course not, just don't look. She then changed into her usual clothes, and he tells her those are beautiful and comfortable. They make his heart race. Nico feels shy, not expecting him to say that. Moe wants to take a closer look at her outfit, and when he approaches, he asks from what era are those clothes. She tells him she doesn't know, but all her clothes belong to her French grandmother, surprising Moe. He states he knew they were from the 20th century and valuable. Then Nico realizes why Moe's heart raced when she wore that outfit, and tells him that, of course, her heart races because those clothes are of high quality, and they can't find clothes like that anymore. This makes Nico upset, and she reminds him that her coat belonged to Adolf, and it's from the 40s. Nico then expresses her amazement at him. His heart races over vintage clothes, but not when he saw her in transparent ones. In response, Moe shows no reaction, saying her clothes were transparent but he didn't see anything. This makes Nico upset. She tells him they live together under one roof, and he doesn't care at all, always sitting alone. She thinks since she got here, he's been dead because the house became noisy. Moe admits that's partially true, shocking her, and she decides not to speak to him for the rest of the day. It's said Moe always lived with his dad, and the place was always quiet. But he found that noise isn't necessarily bad. He continues, telling Nico to wear the clothes. She feels comfortable in all outfits are suitable and beautiful when worn right. He just got excited because he thought their taste in clothes was similar. He mentions he is going to make dinner and eat out, which makes Nico happy. Later, some packages arrived at their house, all for Nico. Moe asks what all the stuff is, and she explains it contains some books and manga. He notices one package addressed to him, and Nico tells him it's definitely from her mother, leaving him curious. Inside the package, there was a letter, and he began reading it. He learned that Nico's mom now lives in a village called Yuzunkyo in Japan because there were witch hunts, and this city became the new home for witches. Nico's mom decided to settle there because predicting requires a lot of magical energy, and she stays to increase her power to reach the complete prophecy and understand what's happening with her daughter. That's why she asks Moe to protect her daughter during this time. Nico's mom says he has always helped her since they were kids, so she hopes he takes good care of her daughter. Afterward, Nico wanted Moe to help carry the things, but he told her she needed to take some responsibility and move them herself. This made her realize Moe's sense of responsibility increased when he read her mother's letter. Nico was about to use magic, but Moe warned her not to because of the side effects that happen when they use spells, telling her not to use magic for this. She argued back that she had a spell that had no side effects and began using it. Once she finished, another version of Nico appeared, but when Moe looked, he noticed that both Nico and her copy became shorter. When Nico tried to lift a package, she couldn't, so she asked the other copy to help her, making Moe angrier as he exclaimed she hadn't done anything, and that this spell was a failure. They were two of them, but only carrying one box. Moe thought that he should watch the two copies instead of just one and was upset about it. Nico then had the idea to split the two copies into two more so they could finish the task faster. Indeed, there were 4 versions of her, but they still could only carry one box, which made Moe even angrier. In the end, he decided to carry the packages himself, finishing the task quickly. Nico's copies teased Moe, and he said she should return to just one version, but she asked him to wait a moment. He agreed and went on to finish reading the letter. He reached the part where Nico's mom mentions she has reached a new prophecy indicating a dog and raindrops will cause a disaster. Suddenly, Moe heard Nico screaming as a dog chased her. He rushed to save her and got bitten on the shoulder while protecting her. It turned out the dog's owner came and apologized, saying the dog got loose. Moe angrily replied that while he understood this was common, if it happened again, he wouldn't ignore it. The dog and its owner ran away, frightened. Nico and her copy clung to Moe out of fear, and they decided to return to the original version. Afterward, Nico began to apologize, crying because everything that happened was her fault, ending with Moe getting hurt. He reassured her he was okay. Later, Nico went to make coffee for Moe when he opened the spell that Nico's mom sent. The letter mentioned that if the seal on the spell disappeared, it meant a disaster had occurred, and if it didn't, it meant the situation was just a normal problem. Moe began to think about what disaster could come from a dog and raindrops and started watching the news to check the weather. Indeed, when night fell, it started to rain and someone was watching Moe's house from outside. Later, Moe and Nico went out to buy red beans, since it was the means to restore Nico's energy. Moe asked her why she went out in such weather, and she said she had no choice. He could have stayed home instead of accompanying her. Moe was about to talk about the prophecy but thought better of it and said forget it, let's go home. Moe was thinking about a way to warn Nico about the prophecy so she could be cautious and he could protect her more, while she was talking about anime, which he wasn't interested in. When she noticed this, she reprimanded him, asking him to repeat what he said. He apologized and asked her to tell him again. She said the anime was about a dog, making him shocked, and he grabbed her tightly, asking what dog. Nico was annoyed with what happened, while Moe was only thinking about how to protect her on rainy days. He then asked Nico to come under his umbrella, which shocked and excited her at the same time, and she was hoping someone would see them. Sure enough, her friend Kara saw them and asked why they were sharing an umbrella. Were they flirting? She wanted to take Nico shopping, but Nico declined. After that, they continued their way, and Nico noticed they weren't headed home. She asked if they were going somewhere, and Moe said yes. They arrived at an open place, and Nico thought Moe would confess his love to her, but suddenly, Moe shifted to another corner of the umbrella and spoke loudly, saying to whoever was hiding that they weren't good at hiding and to come out. This shocked Nico, realizing someone was chasing them. She thought he was a crush, but Moe told her certainly not. When the person came out, he wore a dog mask like Nico's favorite anime character. Moe remembered the prophecy's words and became anxious about who this person was. Suddenly, this person attacked Moe, and a fight broke out. Moe notes the person is fast, but he's still stronger and can win. Then the strange guy pulled out a stick and used a wind attack, throwing Moe away. At that point, Moe decided to unleash his full power and used a strong fire attack, but that attack turned out to be a feint. He grasped the stranger from behind and said he didn't care about killing him, he just wanted to know his identity. When he removed the mask, he revealed a strange person, but Nico recognized him well. His name was Tengu. There was a look of sadness on his face, as Nico couldn't recognize him from his fighting style. Then Nico introduced this person, saying his name is Tengu. He was in the place where she trained. That shocked Moe. Tengu then apologized to him, stating that he was testing Moe's strength and capability to protect Nico. He also mentioned that he came here to protect Nico as well, claiming to be her guardian from the crow species. I am its companion from the crow species. After that, they all went home, and Tengu was very happy because he saw Nico after a long time. Meanwhile, Moe seemed upset. He tried to talk to Tengu and called him several times, but Tengu ignored him and only spoke to Nico. They were reminiscing about their memories and how they met in the mountains when Tengu's dad and Nico's dad became friends. That's when Tengu and Nico easily formed their friendship and spent a lot of time playing together when they were kids. Then, Tengu started talking about Nico in an embarrassing way, which made her blush and want him to stop. At that point, Moe interrupted and said to Tengu, "You still haven't talked about the important things, like what brought you here." This prompted Tengu to say he found Moe boring and annoying. Tengu then mentioned he was here because Nico asked him in the past to be her guardian. At that moment, Tengu had finished his special burger and wanted another one, so Moe got up to get him another. After finishing that, he approached Tengu and threw it at his forehead, making Tengu's forehead burn as he yelled, "Moe, are you blind? What did you do?" Moe coolly replied, "Your forehead was so wide, I thought it was a plate." Then Moe told him to forget about that and asked if he was really Nico's guardian. Why was he hiding? Tengu replied, "I don't talk to monsters." Moe then said, "If you don't talk, I'll make you talk my way." Tengu nervously asked, "How will you do that?" Moe got angry and asked Nico to use any spell to make Tengu talk. Nico then turned Tengu's umbrella into a talking entity to reveal the truth. The umbrella said that in the past, monsters and Tengu were like oil and water, totally incompatible, but now, their relationship had settled a bit. Tengu got angry and asked Nico what she did, to which she replied that she used a spell to make inanimate objects speak. Moe then realized what was happening and said to Tengu, "So you're hostile towards me because of this? That's annoying. This is the first time I've heard about it, but my dad told me about Tengu before, so you're not a stranger to me." Tengu angrily replied, "That's what I mean. You monsters always belittle Tengu and don't care about them at all." Moe looked at him coldly and Tengu said, "Stop looking at me with those cold eyes, or I might cry. What's wrong with you, monster? Why are you treating me like this? The Tengu always suffer and die while the monsters don't care about them at all." Moe replied, "The reasons for your hatred are trivial. You talk as if your dad told you not to lose to anyone, because in fairy tales, it's always the monsters that get praised. Even in anime, they call it Demon Slayer. Why isn't it called Tengu Slayer? And I say your dad read a lot of manga because the best part for him was seeing demons being cut, and his favorite character was the demon." Tengu then said that the sake he drinks was called Monster Slayer. Moe got furious and said, "I've heard enough about your dad. Why talk to me about someone who loves reading manga about killing demons? None of this matters to me. Just tell me why you were hiding." Tengu explained, "I wanted to do something great, which is to protect Nico without needing a monster, because if I did this, all the glory would be mine, and the Tengu's reputation would rise, and all the monsters would bow to us." Moe then said, "So that's why you were so prepared on this rainy day. Then Nico said, "You've always protected me, even when I was at school. Thank you for what you did, Kan." It seems that Kan was his real name. Kan replied, "Don't worry about it. I'm from the escort creature race anyway, and if fate calls me, I will respond." Then the umbrella said, "Don't be fooled by his words. I'll tell you the real reason behind what he does. Lady Ibuki settled all his debts, and he owes her a lot of money." Kan then grabbed the umbrella and shut its mouth. After that, Kan showed signs of regret and started to tell the truth that he had spent all his money on games and nonsense, and he borrowed money from everyone he knew until he found himself drowning in debt. He tried to escape, but Nico's mom intervened and settled his debts. She is a truly wonderful woman. At that point, Nico said she would go prepare some tea. Kan then pulled out a piece of paper and said to Moi, "Since Nico isn't here now, I want you to know about this prophecy. This prophecy said there was an enemy at school. Then he said if it's a disaster, it wouldn't be an accident or illness. There's someone targeting Nico." Kan replied, "Yes, that's why I've been watching Nico since the start of school, and this must remain a secret from her. It was at Lady Ibuki's command. If she finds out, it will stress her connections with her classmates and lead her down a dark path." Then Nico came in, and Kan said to her, "How can you live with a monster like this? He looks grumpy and will ruin food with how much he frowns. He can't prepare anything." Moi angrily replied, "What are you saying? I finished all the food I prepared. That was all we had. Aren't you ashamed of yourself?" Kan said, "Why should I be ashamed? This is our first meeting, but Nico and I are childhood friends." Moi retorted, "But you're sitting in my house right now." Kan said, "That doesn't matter. We're personal guards now, and we need to discuss some things." Moi replied, "One guard is enough. Get out of here." Kan insisted, "But I'm stronger than you." Moi then said, "Do you want to prove this outside?" Things started to get tense between them, but Nico intervened and said that the quarrels and bad relationships between Tengu and monsters were from the past, and neither of them should follow the same path. Moi said, "But he keeps bothering me. As for the Tengu clan, I don't care about them at all. They don't matter to me, and I don't give them any consideration." Kan then started crying and said, "I hate monsters so much," before running away. Nico was upset about this and asked, "Why is your relationship like this?" Then she had an idea. She'd cast a spell on the food, and if two people ate it, they would become close friends. After that, Kan came in looking sad and upset. He started to talk, but Nico interrupted him, saying, "Don't worry, it's mealtime. Let's eat." There was only one box of snacks, which shocked Moi and Kan. Nico said, "No complaining." When Kan tried to eat, Nico told him to wait for Moi to eat first. Moi was shocked, and Nico told him, "Just trust me." Indeed, Moi ate the snacks. After that, he tried to give some to Nico, but she refused. Moi was confused about what was happening and told him to give the snacks to Kan. While Kan was eating the snacks, Moi started feeling something strange. When Kan finished eating, Moi told him, "You're a really nice guy, Kai." It seemed the spell was wrong because afterwards, Moi started acting weird and was nervous, not understanding what was happening because Moi was showing signs like signs of love, not friendship. Nico was shocked by the result, while Kan tried to push Moi away. The more Kan ate, the weirder Moi felt, wanting Kan to bring his shoulder closer. Kan didn't understand what was going on and wanted Nico to help him, but she said, "Honestly, I want to see you both bring your shoulders close to each other." At that point, Kan snapped and started to run away. While escaping, he saw two sad kids because their balloon got stuck in a tree. He helped them and brought back the balloon, but during this, he dropped his snacks. When one of the kids tried to tell Kan about it, Kan said, "Don't worry, you can take it." After the kids ate the snacks, they ended up like Kan and Moi, wanting to touch shoulders. Nico was looking for them, and when she found them, they were all touching each other's shoulders. Then they returned home, and Nico was trying to apologize because she didn't think this would happen. Kan was angry, but Nico said she just wanted them to get along. At that moment, the doorbell rang. Nico went to open the door, and suddenly she screamed. Moi ran to her quickly, and when they looked at her, she was in pain, saying that after she opened the door, she went to put on some clothes her mom sent her, and suddenly the outfit became tight. Out of nowhere, someone with eyes appeared and started talking, saying, "Oh, daughter of the witch, I've caught you at last," saying the enemy could use magic, which surprised him. When he tried to get closer to Nico, the outfit tightened even more, and Nico was in pain. The monster then spoke, saying it could control the size and firmness of the outfit, and it had now restrained Nico's hands, preventing her from using any spells. She was completely under its control. The magical monster then kidnapped Nico and started flying away. Moi tried to follow her, but Kan calmed him down, telling him to take it easy and asking how he would catch someone who could fly. He said to wait a bit and leave it to him. Kan then used his power to control all the crows around and told Moi that all the crows were his friends and would provide them with all the information they needed. Kan then asked one of the crows if it had seen a girl flying, and the crow responded positively and began flying toward her. Moi and Kan started following the crows to reach Nico. Nico was trying to escape from the monster, but it was useless. Then she started saying she was sure Moi would come to rescue her because whenever she got into trouble anywhere, Moi always found her and saved her. Returning to the present, Amuri managed to reach Nico while the monster said it was draining Nico's energy to fly, and they wouldn't be able to catch up to it. Moi asked Kan if he could fly since he was from the crow family, but Kan told him they had lost their wings just like the ghouls had lost their horns after several generations. Then a parachute appeared, scolding them for leaving her behind. mind, but Kan told her to stop, saying Nico was in danger. Suddenly, Moi had a plan and remembered when Kan used his power and knocked him down. He looked at Kan and said they needed to cooperate. Indeed, they started cooperating, and Amori reached Nico. The monster then transformed into a solid form and told Moi that he couldn't do anything to him now. But Moi said that was exactly what he was waiting for. He attacked with a real assault, defeating the monster and managing to save Nico. However, they were about to fall to the ground when Kan activated the wind power again and saved them. Moi fell hard and told Kan he did it on purpose, but then he started looking at the outfit, which turned into fabric, and he wondered what the monster really wanted. Nico thanked Moi, saying, "Thank you. You always save me from all the problems I cause." Moi responded, "This time it wasn't your fault, and we need to be careful from now on." Then Quan leaned closer and whispered in his ear that this monster wasn't the catastrophe, because when they looked at the paper with the seal, they found the seal still intact, which meant this monster was not the catastrophe and also had nothing to do with the prophecy of the rain and the dog. Nico was upset, asking if these things would happen over and over again. Moi reassured her, saying, "Don't worry, we'll be by your side. Don't worry about anything." While they were talking, Kan surprised them by saying he would move in with them. Of course, Moi and Nico were shocked, and he said he wouldn't be stubborn anymore because that was the original plan, and from now on, they all needed to cooperate so things would be alright. Nico was happy about this, but Moi was puzzled, saying, "If this is the main plan, where were you living?" Kan was stunned by this question and didn't know what to say, but the parachute explained everything, saying he had lived in a rented apartment and spent all his money on entertainment and nonsense, which is why he ran out of money. Moi said, "I knew it. You ran out of money and came to intrude on us with no plan." Kan was trying to get back at the parachute for what it did, trying to stop it. On the other hand, Nico was happy and said they were starting to get along. Then Kan began to talk, saying the problem between the Tengu and the Yiglin was rooted in him because he grew up with this conflict, and forgetting it would take some time and a lot of getting used to. But for now, they had to deal with this problem. Moi said that for him, there was no problem and he didn't hold any grudges. Then Nico told him he needed to take care of Kan because he was hardworking, responsible, and also a good cook who did everything perfectly. So he was someone reliable and didn't need anyone to take care of him, which is why she thought he needed someone like Kan. Kan didn't understand the implication, and Nico was remembering past events when Moi and Kan said they didn't need any friends. She said, "You both are lonely, but you hate admitting it, and I think this will be a good chance to fix that." But they were denying it as well. After that, they were on their way home, having bought some things and arguing about them. Then they saw the kids that Kan had helped before, and it seemed that Kan had become their friend and won their affection. It looked like they weren't the only ones, as many people started talking to Kan, thanking him for helping them. It seemed that Kan had gained a lot of popularity in the neighborhood because he was friendly and had high communication skills. Later, we see them at home, where Kan and Moi were strengthening their bond and playing cards. It looked like things were going well. The next day, we see that Nico is very impressed with her friend Coco's manga drawings. Nico's voice was so loud that the teacher heard the name of the manga, which was called Mirage Oron. It seems the teacher knew it too, because it was a popular manga among high school students who wielded swords and defeated monsters. The manga was famous for the handsome characters, the developed plot, and the fights. Nico was saying the boys were very handsome. After that, they started praising Coco's drawing, which had improved a lot. The teacher was listening to the girls' conversation and said that she had followed all the drawings of this manga because it was one of her hobbies. How could she not have heard about Coco's drawing? After Coco spoke and said she had 0 followers, the teacher started narrowing down her search until she found her. It turned out that the teacher was one of Coco's special fans on social media, but of course, neither of them knew this because the life of otaku is different on social media and most of them hide their personalities. While the teacher was immersed in her thoughts about manga and otaku, the girls came to check on her, which startled her. She said she came to get some things she had forgotten. While she was talking, she saw Coco's drawing and it caught her attention a lot, but she hid her reaction and told the girls to go home quickly. Then she left, and on her way she was thinking about Coco and that she was her most favorite artist. After that, we see the teacher sitting alone, looking at Coco's drawing and saying to herself that Coco had developed a lot, and she knew this because she had been following her for a long time and was one of the first fans of her page. She felt very proud of her student Coco because she had developed a lot and was on the right track, and she began to explain all the details of Coco's drawing development. Then she concluded that the most important thing was the interpretation of the relationships between the characters in the drawing. Then she began to explain the sad events that happened between the manga characters and the developments that happened in the story. Because of the rapid pace of events and its development and the strength of the plot, there was a large fan base and great interaction on the events of the manga, especially in chapter 35, which was the beginning of the story's uprising, until the events reached their peak in chapter 57. Then she began to recall the details of Coco's picture, saying that the picture had many exciting details and dialogues between the characters, and she said that she had never seen anything like this drawing and was sure that there would be many who would imitate Coco's drawing in the near future. While saying thank you Coco for restoring my passion again. Coco appeared next to her, which startled the teacher. Then Coco told her that she needed her to help her with some papers, but the teacher told her that she could not do that and was affected by the manga topic. But after that, she tried to pull herself together and took the papers from Coco and saw in them the drawings and news about the manga, which made her even more impressed and tried to hide her reaction again. She said that these drawings are good, then realized that she had to end the conversation so as not to expose herself. Then, unintentionally, the teacher asked, while nervous, if Coco liked drawing. Coco exploded and said yes, excitedly, and that she was an otaku and loved anime and manga. After that, Coco directed the same question to the teacher, who became very nervous and started shouting and said that she had nothing to do with manga or anime or anything related to them. Then Coco said to her, "But how can you say this when the first day of class you were talking about anime?" The teacher said to her, "Maybe I read some of the manga a little," but what exposed her more were the manga volumes that were next to her, and Coco noticed them. After that, Coco started asking the teacher more about the things she liked in the manga, and the teacher was trying to avoid the question, but she would answer in the end, and Coco was excited and exchanged answers and explained the events of the manga in detail. After that, Coco realized that she had to stop and apologized. Then Coco told the teacher that she remembered the main reason she came here, which was that the teacher dropped the Oron medal, which made the teacher in a state of shame and shock because everything was exposing her. The teacher tried to cover it up again, but Coco stopped her and said to her, "Why are you covering it up? I, for example, am not ashamed of it and do not cover it up because I knew that revealing the truth of the self gives a comfortable feeling. So I want to discuss the manga dialogues with you more, teacher." The teacher was impressed by Coco and did not know what to say. Then in the end, she surrendered and said that she also loved manga and wanted to discuss it more. Coco was happy about this and said that she was expecting this. After that, we move on to Nico and Moi, who were sitting with a student who seemed to have problems and wanted Nico to make him like air so that no one would see him or feel him. But Moi and Nico objected and said that what this boy wanted was not right. Moi wanted him to be brave and face his fears because what he wanted was called escape, but Nico interrupted them and said that the new witches become real witches by helping people. So if this is the student's wish, she wants to achieve it for him. It turned out in the end that all he wanted was a spell to make him invisible when he went to the bathroom, which shocked Moi and Quan. The student tried to explain to them that he was being bullied because he went to the bathroom at school a lot when he was young, and the boys were bullying him and he felt embarrassed. Moi, Quan, and Nico sympathized with him and understood the matter. They were talking about Nico and it seems they forgot about her. Then suddenly they felt her presence again, and it turned out that she had cast a spell on herself to make herself almost invisible and unnoticed. She said that she would also cast this spell on the student, Hera. She actually did this and he thought he had become invisible, but they told him that he was still visible. Nico explained to him how to use the spell, and when he did what she said, he actually disappeared for them and understood how the spell worked correctly. Then they went to class and Hara was very tired and his stomach hurt and it seemed it was time to go to the bathroom. Then he decided to use the spell and Moi encouraged him, but there was a problem, which was that he did not know if the spell was working or not. He tried to get up from his place and made a noise, but no one noticed. Then he knew that he had disappeared and began to sneak out to go to the bathroom and was able to leave the classroom with difficulty and was crying with joy because the spell had worked. But after that, he faced a problem, which was the gym teacher with his supernatural senses who was about to catch him through his smell, but Moi intervened and saved him at the last moment and distracted the teacher, and Hara succeeded in going to the bathroom. But he was facing another problem, which was his inability to lower his pants, because if he moved his hands, the spell would end and everyone would notice his disappearance, but what saved him was the bell of the end of the class. He finally succeeded in going to the bathroom and thought that the other students would bully him because they noticed that he was in the bathroom, but they had become adults and apologized to him instead. After that, Hera went to Nico and thanked her, and told her that he would not feel embarrassed after this, and would raise his hand and go to the bathroom normally in the future. Then he apologized to Nico for making her use her magic in a silly matter, but she told him that she loved helping people and this was the most important thing for her. Suddenly, Nico's magic stone glowed, which indicates that she had developed when helping Hara, and they were all happy about this. Then Nico thanked Hera because he was the reason for her development, and said that she wanted to continue listening to people's concerns and helping them until she developed more, and they were all happy. Then we see that there is a strange girl watching them from the top of a tree outside the school. After that, they went out to return home, and there was a cat watching them. While they were walking, the teacher appeared, and it seems that he needed help, and they went with him to his car, and he said that whenever he tried to turn on the engine, there was a cat that made him stop. Then Moi lifted the car, and the cat ran away in terror, and the problem was solved, and the teacher and students were impressed by his strength. After that, it turned out that the cat was the same girl who was watching them, and her name was Nemo, and she was staring at Moi and saying that she wanted to make him her familiar. Then one of the students asked her if she was looking for someone. Then she became nervous and ran away. Then we move on to Quan, who who was bullying Moi. Moi said to him, "Why all this? Are you still jealous of me, or what?" Quan tried to deny this and said that he was angry because people depend on Moi. Then Moi was sure that Quan was jealous of him. Even Nico was acting strangely, and it seemed that they were jealous of him. Nico was frustrated because she wanted to help people like Moi. Then Quan noticed the cat and tried to flirt with her, he and Nico, but she was moving away from them and was angry and was saying to herself that her goal was Moi because he was known in their field, because he gained chi powers at a young age, and it was a shock for her when she knew that he had become Nico's familiar because this is different from the custom, and she thought that Nico had cheated to make him her familiar, and she was very jealous of Nico. But this girl was very sad because she was very shy and could not talk to boys, and was blaming herself for this and saying that she was a gloomy person and maybe she should go back home again. But she decided not to give up and said that she would change and would make Moi her familiar until her mother recognizes her as a member of the elite family. After that, we see that Nemo followed them to the house and entered with them and was sitting next to Moi, and Nico was trying to flirt with her and touched her, which made her feel goosebumps, and she ran away. Quan tried to flirt with her, but she ran away from him too and suddenly found herself standing on Moi's feet and felt a flutter in her heart. Then Moi said that he had a lot of experience in raising cats and that he loved raising them, so he will show Quan and Nico how to deal with the cat. He actually started touching Nemo gently, and she felt comfortable and was not bothered by Moi's approach or touch, and relaxed completely, and was saying to herself that it was the first time she felt this feeling. Nico and Quan were feeling jealous of Moi because he was able to tame even the cats, while Nemo was completely relaxed and felt comfortable and reassured. She remembered that the ancestors of the ghouls were tigers, so she was trying to escape from Moi, but she could not because she was completely relaxed. But she had to escape from under his hand because if she slept, the disguise spell would end, and she would return to her human form again and they would discover her, but she did not have any power until she slept and transformed into a human, and everyone was shocked by this. But the surprise was that they were shocked because Quan completed his set of games and did not notice Nemo's transformation into a human. Then Nemo crept away and was able to escape, but Moi said that he felt that he would see her again soon. Then we see Nemo, and she is tired from escaping and says that the next time she sees Moi, she will make him her familiar. We see Nico using her magic to make a girl confess her love to her boyfriend, but Nico warns her that what she has now is just a charm and there's no guarantee it will work. The girl is very happy and says she doesn't care about the guarantee. The important thing is that you're a real witch, and that makes me optimistic, before leaving. After she departs, Nico starts to think, and at that moment, we see someone behind Nico who has witnessed everything. Then the scene changes. The next day, Moya suddenly asks Nico about her weight. Nico hears this and panics, asking him why he's asking. Moya begins to explain that it's important because your weight should match your height, and it's good for your health. And since I'm your guardian, it's part of my responsibility. Upon hearing this, Nico says that you can't ask any girl about her weight, leaving Moya confused. He promises to be more careful with his questions in the future. Then Nico notices that all the girls are focusing their attention on Moya, and she starts to feel jealous because his popularity is increasing, which could pose a threat to her. The scene shifts to their home, where Moya is practicing picking up falling leaves with his eyes closed. Nico is very surprised that he can skillfully pick the leaves without seeing them. Moya tells her that with this training, he's enhancing his sensory abilities. Nico wishes her other senses were as sharp, but Moya doesn't understand what she means. Kenshi, who is listening to their conversation, starts asking Nico at night if they're dating yet, which shocks Nico. Kenshi says her feelings are very clear, so he's definitely noticed them. But when it comes to Moya, Nico says that we have to say he's a strange person. They've spent all this time together, yet he's still the same. Every day he wakes up, drinks coffee, and does his usual routine. This prompts Kenshi to suggest that Nico help give Moya some hints. Then they see a shampoo commercial on TV, featuring a girl dancing with her hair. Kenshi gets an idea. The next day at school, Kenshi starts explaining his plan, where Nico will wave her hair in front of Moya during lunch break. Kenshi will use his air magic to make Nico's hair flutter. This way, Nico will look more attractive. Next, we see the lunch break scene, where Nico and Kenshi are hiding and waiting for Moya. When Moya arrives, Nico starts signaling to Kenshi. With a gust of wind, Nico enters, and when Moya sees her, he's astonished and says, "Why is there wind?" even though his eyes remain blank. After seeing Moya's eyes, Nico begins to signal more to strengthen the wind. On the other side, Kenshi is very excited and capable of understanding the signals, boosting the wind to the point where Nico starts to float, like a ghost, which alarms Moya, who begins to wonder what's happening. Meanwhile, Nico asks if she looks beautiful. Suddenly, their teacher walks in, looking worried to see Nico in that state. But thanks to the strong winds, the girls' measurement papers fly into the air. When the girls hear that, they get scared. At that moment, Moya jumps and gathers all the papers without looking at them, which makes the girls admire and be attracted to him even more. On the other hand, Nico's plan completely fails. Even when they get home, all the girls are bidding farewell to Moya, making Nico feel even more jealous. She She tells him he's become more popular among people, and he's definitely happy about that. Moya replies that he doesn't care about it because he's focused only on his goals and training since childhood, which is why he doesn't have many friends, making Nico feel relieved to hear this. Then the scene shifts to the next day, where someone comes to Nico wanting to talk to her. When she tells her friends, they freak out because they realize he definitely wants to confess his love to her and wants to meet her during lunch break. But Nico doesn't feel like anything like that will happen. When she hears her friends insist that it definitely will because she's become the talk of the town, being a witch, kind, and beautiful too, they start talking about rumors of a field trip. There's a tree for lovers, and if a couple has lunch there, they will stay together forever. When Nico hears this, she begins to blush, while Kara feels bad because she wants a boyfriend. Meanwhile, we see Kenshi listening to everything said from above the tree. Upon returning home, Kashi tells Nico that she needs to confess her feelings to Moya during the field trip. Hearing this, Nico breaks down and refuses, but Kenshi scolds her, saying she helps everyone, but doesn't help herself. Nico argues that she feels Moya doesn't care about a girl like her, she's just someone familiar to him. So, it might be best to focus on becoming a suitable witch. But after hearing this nonsense, Kashi gets angry and starts yelling at her. He tells her not to fool herself. She likes him, and she can't escape that for long. Then Nico starts to explain, while she's breaking down, how she felt the last time she looked into Moya's cold eyes. She realized he wasn't interested in her at all. When she looks into his eyes, it seems like light doesn't even reflect from them. Hearing this, Kenshi also agrees. He tells her that when he asked Moya about his feelings for Nico, he said he sees her as a sister and a close person, and it's his responsibility to protect her without feelings, because emotions might complicate his protection. Upon hearing this, Nico breaks down because Kenshi asked Moya about his feelings. Kenshi clarifies that protecting Nico is Moya's job and responsibility, which is why he hides his true feelings from her, but Nico doesn't take his comments seriously. Then we see the field trip scene the next day, where Nico tells Moya about the guy who invited her under the love tree. Even upon hearing that, Moya shows no reaction. He simply says, okay, that's fine. During that time, I won't offer you any protection. Upon hearing this, Nico is taken aback. She asks him, don't you have any problem with someone else confessing his love to me? He tells her no and even says that he'd be happy for her if she gets a new boyfriend. He thinks it's great that she's enjoying her school life as a regular student and not as a witch. Nico responds that it's because no one picks on her anymore and walks away. As Nico walks away, we can see that Moya looks somewhat unhappy. Then comes lunchtime, where Mui sees a bag with a famous logo and is intrigued by it. He approaches the bag's owner and discovers that it belonged to a famous band. It seems Mui is also a big fan of that band. Since Mui's taste aligns closely with another guy named Kagami, they indirectly become friends. After the chat, Mui leaves, while Nico observes him from a distance. She approaches Mui, but since he doesn't recognize her, she introduces herself. Meanwhile, we see Nico thinking about how to politely reject the guy as she heads towards a tree. When she arrives, she finds a large number of people gathered, and the place is very crowded. The men are holding signs with the names of their favorite idols. When Nico spots her name on one of those signs, she realizes that several people came to see her alongside a guy named Ishi. Nico thought all those guys were fans of her, but the truth is, everyone came to get a love charm. When she sees this, panic sets in. She starts to say that the rumors they've heard are not true. However, the rumors have spread so widely that people began to believe she could use the charm to attract anyone. When Nico hears this, she becomes even more frightened and begins to run. But everyone follows her. To escape, Nico uses her magic to shrink in size and then flies away. While flying, she crashes into someone and lands in their pocket. But who could that be other than Mui? Once Nico gathers herself, she notices a girl who wants to confess her love to Mui, but Mui shows no reaction at all. He starts saying he doesn't know her, but she tells him she has seen him a few times at the station, helping many elderly people. Yet, even with this, Mui has no feelings for her. He does this because he doesn't know her. When Nico hears this, she feels very happy. However, she thinks he shouldn't tell the girl that directly to avoid hurting her. But after hearing his words, that girl starts to find Mui more attractive because he was honest. She begins to ask questions. Do you have a girlfriend? Do you like anyone? Mui replies that he doesn't have anyone like that. When Nico hears this, she feels really bad. But then, Mui tells her he has someone he values very much. When Nico hears this, she realizes he is talking about her. She starts to feel shy. Then the girl asks if there was any moment in the past that made him feel he loved this person. After hearing this, Nico remembers the moment she started to love Mui. We see a scene from the past where Nico is crying on the garden steps, and Mui is with her, comforting her because her father was planning to leave her since he didn't agree with her mother. Nico loved her family very much. After that, she recalls the moment that caused family problems, where Nico couldn't control her magic and destroyed half their home. Mui witnessed this and was very surprised. Nico starts crying and tells them that people hate her because of her powers. Even her father was going to leave her, but at that moment, Mui suddenly hugs her and tells her he's there for her. When Nico hears this, she feels very shy and happy at the same time. From that moment, she started to love Mui and thanked him for comforting her. But afterward, Mui says he also has a moment he remembers, and then he leaves. Nico realizes that her magic will wear off soon. If she doesn't leave there, she'll return to her normal size, and the situation will be bad. So, she quickly tries to escape and flies away. However, the wind blows against her, and she falls from her broom, returning to her normal size eyes and starts to fall. When Mui sees her falling, he is shocked and catches her immediately. A spark of love reignites between them, and he asks her, "What are you doing here?" Nico replies that she was practicing her magic. Meanwhile, Kenshi watches their romantic moment from a distance, up in a tree. But suddenly, an old man comes and orders Kenshi to get down from the tree. Kenshi apologizes and tells the old man that if he wants to climb something, he should climb his dreams to reach a higher place. The man then asks Kenshi what he is doing there, and Kenshi explains that there were many couples under the tree, so he felt suffocated and moved away from them. When the old man hears that, he starts talking about the rumors that still spread widely, but he points out that the tree isn't the real love tree. When Kenshi hears this, he feels astonished, but suddenly, an old woman arrives and talks to the old man, discussing how this rumor started. Then the man points toward the real love tree and says that if a couple eats love food under it, they will marry and live together forever. Kenshi laughs mischievously, seeming to have an idea. Then two girls come and ask about Nico, but he tells them he doesn't know and suggests they go with him to have lunch under the tree of lovers. Nico was recording a video with Kan, and Nico was very shy, but there was nothing special, they just wanted to sing a song. Once the song started, Mui showed up and began yelling at them because it was late and he wanted to sleep. We learned that they were doing all this to upload the video on YouTube. Then they explained to Mui that they had opened a YouTube channel and thought they could easily make money from it, but Mui called them stupid, saying they couldn't become famous that easily. However, they were extremely confident, caring only about making money. Mui asked about the dumb person who told them this, and they mentioned their teacher Ali on YouTube, from whom they got all this information. Mui said that when he saw the teacher, he looked like a fool. After that, he checked their channel, which had very few subscribers. They also had no views at all. Even the thumbnail they put up wasn't attractive. Then, he started looking at their videos, which were horrendous and really bad. Kan recorded the video from an incorrect angle, so there was no clear view of the game. At the same time, he talked nonsense excessively. Meanwhile, Nico was dancing to kids' songs, which was super embarrassing for Mui, and he couldn't watch anymore. After that, he watched an unboxing video where they were struggling to open a box for some reason. After seeing all this, Mui started losing it. He told them that if they kept posting videos like this, they would never make money. To attract viewers to their videos, they needed to do something special that would make people like them. Then he started checking the comments written by their classmates. There was a guy named Arashi in their class who was criticizing them in the comments, which made Kan angry. Another person said that their ideas weren't special at all, they were also nonsense. After seeing all this, Mui advised them to post content that showcases their talents and features, but Nico kept saying they had no talents. Kan suggested using their charm. Hearing that, Mui got angry and said that absolutely wouldn't happen, but he told them that if they were serious about posting videos, he could talk to someone for them. Then we moved to school where they were talking to Mogami, whom Mui met during the trip. Although they weren't good friends, they managed to chat together. Then, Mogami started embarrassing them a bit, telling them that even if they watched his videos, they wouldn't understand anything, because his videos are diverse, and sometimes he makes movie reviews. After that, he referred to himself as a weird person. After hearing everything he said, Kan got angry, but Mogami didn't stop there. He began talking about how to make videos for a long time. Kan was stomping his feet in frustration, and Mogami said that after making many mistakes, he learned a lot. After listening to him, Kan lost his mind, started yelling at Mogami, grabbed his hair, and demanded to see his videos immediately, which made Mogami upset at Kan's way. After all this nonsense, finally, the main topic came up where Mogami showed them his channel. There was nothing special about it, as he only had 83 subscribers. After that, they started watching Mogami's videos, which were visually impressive and shot from great angles. But at the same time, Mogami babbled a lot about movies and directors, giving tons of irrelevant details half the time, to the point where Kan sped up the video and got very frustrated because he wasn't convinced. Despite all this, Mui was convinced by the videos and praised Mogami's channel, telling Kan and Nico that Mogami's channel was better than theirs, which had nothing special, and Mui asked Mogami to teach these two idiots some things to improve their content. They then watched a popular video from Mogami, where he programmed a game. However, people were bullying him in the comments because the game was a joke. Plus, Mogami wouldn't stop talking nonsensically, but at that moment, Mui had an idea. Next, we moved to Mui's house where he brought Mogami and his equipment to shoot a new video. Mogami gave them some gifts that only he understood, which surprised them. They decided to start filming a video where Nico would appear playing, and Mui brought the green screen, which made them see that Mui was taking this seriously. But even though the video was about games, Kan didn't have a role in it, and Mui told Kan to step away. Then we see Mui and Mogami editing the video, and after a long time of working and editing, the video turned out great. It was a commentary by Nico on a game, filled with emotion and sarcasm. Finally, the video was uploaded on YouTube. Mui and Mogami did an amazing job on the editing, so much so that Nico thought the video was excellent. The video achieved over 5.0 views, and people loved it a lot. This made both Kan and Nico thank Mui, who looked visibly tired. Then Mui started explaining that if they used each other's strengths, they could make awesome videos, like Mogami's expertise, Kan's voice, and Nico's charm. After that, Nico became extremely happy. They then started making more beautiful videos that performed great. But after a few days, Mui asked about the video they would be filming today. But shockingly, Nico felt bored and Kan felt the same, which angered Mui. He said they were the type who only copied others and didn't last. Thus, their dream of becoming famous YouTubers ended. A few days later, we see a scene at school where Suzuka comes to Nico to tell her that today it's Nico's turn to note down the details of the class. Heiko thinks to herself that Suzuka is really beautiful inside and out, and she also comes from a prestigious family. She wishes she could be like her so that Moi would love her. However, when Nico checks the notebook, she discovers that Suzuka's handwriting is terrible. Then we see Suzuka talking about herself, saying she can't do anything right. Even though she knows everything, she can't do anything properly. She mentions that her grandmother taught her everything, but whenever Suzuka attempts anything, it goes wrong automatically. Even the plant she cared for seemed like someone had cursed it. She even ruined the food, and Nico said the food looks good and the chicken looks delicious, but it turns out that what they had wasn't chicken, which shocked Moi and Nico. Suddenly, Suzuka asks Nico to use her magic to give her all the skills she needs. In return, she would give her money, but Nico says her spells aren't permanent, to which Suzuka replies that she's okay with a temporary spell because she needs to pass her grandmother's tea ceremony test. If she fails, she will have to study all the time. After hearing this, they start thinking because the test will be very difficult. Nico says she doesn't have a spell that makes someone skilled, but she has another idea. Then she asks Moi and Suzuka to extend their hands forward, and she casts a spell. We see that whatever Moi does, Suzuka automatically mimics it, leaving them in shock. Nico tells them that she will cast the spell on their bodies completely on the day of the test. With Moi helping her, who will pass the test from another room, Suzuka will also be able to succeed. Moi then tells them he doesn't have any knowledge about the tea ceremony test, but he seems like he eventually has to agree. After that, he starts to learn everything about the tea ceremony diligently. We then see him before the day of the test, as they prepare, making Kan say that Moi is taking things very seriously. Kan had decided to help them by using glasses with a camera, which would help Moi see everything going on in the other room. But suddenly, Suzuka bursts in, terrified, telling them that her grandmother has changed her schedule, and the test will happen today, leaving them in shock. After that, they are forced to sit without training. Moi prepares a synchronized setup for both sides, while Suzuka's grandmother says that Suzuka must succeed so as not to shame the family. If she fails, bad things will happen to her, but Suzuka doesn't answer anything. Here, Nico tells Moi that he has to answer for Suzuka. This leaves Moi shocked, asking, "Are our mouths synchronized too?" At that, Suzuka shouts the same thing. Upon seeing this, the grandmother is left astonished and starts scolding Suzuka, saying she is a reckless girl and things were stricter in her days. Moi is nervous, thinking that it's really hard without training, and then he begins to respond to every question with, "Yes, Grandma," without thinking. When the grandmother asked, "Did I disturb you?" Moi said, "Yes, Grandma," without thinking too, which angered the grandmother. She declared that the test would begin immediately. Moi and Suzuka finally prepared to start the test, with Moi following all the steps he had learned. The first step was to open the door, but Moi couldn't fit his hand into the handle and kept knocking on the door, creating a sound that made the grandmother think there was a cat. The louder the sound, the more anxious she became. At that moment, the door flies open quickly instead of gently. Then it's time to enter through the door, and they must use hand strength to jump over the paper fan and enter the room. Unfortunately, due to Moi's strength, Suzuka jumps too hard, making her look like a frog, and everyone is shocked by what's happening, shocking the grandmother too. But Suzuka finishes the stage in the end. Then for the third stage, which involves presenting sweets, the individual themselves will taste the sweets. Moi starts performing the steps. He has mastered them already, but he doesn't have a piece of sweet like Suzuka's. So Kan puts a piece of biscuit in front of him, which Moi picks up, chews, and swallows. But Suzuka's body couldn't handle this, and she spat the sweet onto the grandmother. Moi was making shocked expressions while Suzuka did the same, leaving the grandmother startled. Then comes the fourth stage, which is drinking tea, and Moi had mastered this too. But because of the size difference between him and Suzuka exaggeratedly drank the tea, leaving a mark on her mouth. Then came the next stage, and Suzuka failed, which greatly angered the grandmother. She scolded Suzuka, saying she hadn't learned the concept and intent behind these lessons, which is why she failed. Suddenly, a giant wasp appeared, shocking Moi and the grandmother, who was afraid of such creatures and began to panic. Suddenly, Moi used his skill and managed to catch the wasp, making the grandmother say that what she witnessed was the best performance and decided that Suzuka passed the test. After that, Suzuka sat with Moi and Nico, feeling very happy, telling them what her grandmother had said, and that her grandmother mentioned that the family's hopes now rest on Suzuka because she was impressed with what she had done. Suzuka then said she had another test and suggested that Moi help her, to which he completely refused. Kan was begging Moi to let him stay at home this month without paying rent because he had no money right now and couldn't cover his monthly expenses. However, Moi was very angry and told Kan that this was his problem because he spends all his money on useless things. He told him he could make money by using his body and showed him a part-time job ad for a play taking place in the park where they needed someone to play the villain. Upon hearing about the job, Kan felt frustrated and said he didn't like working because there was no fun in it, claiming that work made him feel like an adult. Then he started to whine like a child, but at that moment, it cut to him trying to audition for the job since his complaining was of no use. He actually did a clownish move and passed the audition. When the director saw his skills, he was impressed and gave him the lead role right away because their current hero was injured. This was a huge shock for Kan. Next, we see Kan wearing the hero suit of a character named Automan. Even though he had never heard of this hero before, the director explained that this hero was very popular among kids and moms. After that, the theater team gathered, and the director went over their steps and directed them. The play began with an ordinary man who had a wife, but their relationship wasn't good, and the wife was ignoring the husband. They then started watching TV, but Kan interrupted and asked them why they were watching TV, saying it was a boring show. When the director saw that Kan was hindering them, he got angry and yelled at him, telling him to go back to his place. The story then returned to calmness, featuring a man traveling on a train to his office. At the office, a very nice girl named Hanoka invited him to lunch, but the man refused and said he didn't really know why she specifically invited him. The girl then started saying, "You're always like this, but I know all the good qualities in you, Mr. Sugata, and I really like you," which made Mr. Sugata embarrassed. When Kan saw this scenario, he went crazy and thought they were putting on a play. After that, the man began to talk to the girl, but suddenly the villains appeared, and surprisingly, the girl was the head of the villains. Then it was Kan's turn to enter. Here, the director yelled at Kan to come in quickly, and Kan hurried in and defeated the main villain. When the director saw that, he started getting annoyed because Kan was supposed to fight the minions first, and then defeat the main villain since he was the one giving orders. After that, they reshot the scene, and Kan took out the villain's minions. When the director watched Kan's moves, he said at least he could move gracefully. Then the play continued, with Mr. Sugata being scolded by his boss. When he returned home, he saw that his wife had prepared a festive table and discovered that it was their wedding anniversary, which he had forgotten. After the wife heard that, she started complaining and said she would use the same punishment again. After that, we saw that the man had been turned into a chair for his wife, and the wife was sitting while he was under her feet. When Kan saw that, he felt crazy and started screaming. At that moment, the director got angry too, and began yelling at Kan. After that, a clash started between them, and the director told him that if he didn't stick to the script, he wouldn't get paid. After that, Kan was seen talking to the guy who was playing the villain. His foot was injured, and he was told that he would be assigned the role of Automan, but due to his injury during rehearsal, he was replaced. His son was very excited because this was his first role as a hero. When the son found out that his dad wouldn't do the role, he started crying. He had even bought some toys for him in advance, but now he couldn't do anything. He would do his best as the villain. At that point, Kan thought to himself, he felt sorry for him because it's very bad when parents break their promises. Then he told the guy to quickly call his son and tell him that he was Automan. On the other hand, it turned out that Moi had heard all of that and was very happy with Kan's behavior. After that, we directly see a scene from the play where Kan and the guy completely changed their costumes. As a result, they began talking about strange things in the script, which shocked the director because what was being said wasn't in the script. Even Nico, who was watching the play, interrupted, saying that Kan said he would play the hero, but the hero was someone else. On the other hand, the hero also didn't understand what he was supposed to do now because he was injured in his foot and couldn't move much. But Kan encouraged him not to worry because he would take care of everything. After that, the hero lightly struck Kan, who acted fantastic, and rolled quickly until he fell backward, astonishing the director and everyone present. The kids were very impressed with the show, and even Moi was laughing a lot at what he saw. Kan was performing excellently as the villain, and the hero delivered another light strike, but Kan portrayed it in such a realistic way that the hero was so powerful that Kan flew through the air until he was defeated, marking the end of the villain's role. The hero's son was very proud of his father. After the play concluded, all the kids were very impressed with the hero, but unfortunately, the director wasn't very happy with what happened, so he deducted their pay, leaving Kan with zero income. After that, Kan, Moi, and Nico were on their way home. Kan felt sad and said this was why he didn't like part-time work and felt he wasn't cut out for it. But Moi told him the opposite, saying he was very good in the work environment and advised Kan to try different jobs until he found the right fit for him. He also said regarding this month's expenses, he could wait a little longer. Upon hearing that, Kan became very happy, but Moi told him that next month, he would need to pay 2 months' salary. If he didn't, there would be a huge penalty, leading Kan to promise that he wouldn't waste money this time. Then we returned to see the hero at home, where he was very happy with his son. After that, we transitioned to Moi's home a month later, and see Moi practicing with Kan the same punishment from the play, and it seems Kan hasn't learned anything. We then see Kan working a part-time job where he has to pack nails in plastic bags. But after a few minutes of work, he felt crazy because he couldn't sit still for a long time. Even now, he hadn't managed to fill one box. If he kept this job, it would take years. But if he didn't work, he wouldn't get paid, and thus couldn't pay off his debts, forcing him to become Automan for Moi again. All these issues led him to go to Nico and ask her for a spell to make himself faster. When Nico heard that, she was very surprised and told him he was already fast and very active, which annoyed him. Then Nico told him that she could increase his speed from 1.5 to 10 times, and when Kan heard that, he got excited and said he needed the maximum speed. But unfortunately, Nico warned him that things wouldn't be easy as there were warnings and side effects, and then Nico began explaining the side effects. The first was that the spell would last for 3 days. Of course, Kan had no problem with that. The second was that after casting the spell, he wouldn't be able to attack anyone, but Kan had no worry about that because he had no intention of fighting. The third was the crashes. Kan didn't understand this point and said he'd figure it out. After that, finally, Nico cast the spell on him and increased his speed to 10 times. After the spell was executed, Kan started to talk, but no one could understand him because he was speaking very fast. Seeing that, Kan felt frustrated and kept trying to talk but to no avail. So he decided to take a piece of paper and wrote, "What are you saying? I didn't understand anything." As a result, Moi started explaining and said that Kan's mind had become 10 times faster, making them now 10 times slower compared to him. After Moi's explanation, Nico began to panic. On the other hand, Kan started to feel scared of both of them because they were talking in strange ways, with strange tones. At that moment, Kan realized that all this was happening because of the spell, since his mind had become 10 times faster. Moi and Nico were extremely slow to him. He didn't understand their language and was very afraid due to their expressions. After that, he decided he couldn't stay with them anymore and returned to do his work. Everything around him moved slowly, even time. To him, it didn't feel like he had become faster, but rather that everything around him had become slower. Kan was shocked to find that he wasn't accomplishing anything quickly and felt like he had been working for hours when only 10 minutes had passed. Suddenly, he realized that he would have to spend 3 days with this failed spell, meaning he'd need to endure 30 days worth of time, which terrified him because how could he spend 30 days without talking to anyone? After that, he went to Nico to revert him to his normal state and tried to explain to them what he was going through, but they didn't understand his language. Moi wrote to him to speak slowly. Kan tried but failed. Moi and Nico realized Kan was feeling sad. Nico tried to speak quickly, but it didn't work either. Kan lost hope, left them, and went, but after a few seconds, he returned to eat and then left them again. After that, Moi and Nico discussed Kan, but after a short while, Kan returned again to eat. Nico didn't understand what was happening. Moi started explaining and told her that 30 minutes for them equaled 5 hours for Kan, and if things continued this way, he would need to eat over 10 times a day, so they bought a lot of food, but it quickly ran out. Time was passing much faster for them, while it was proceeding very slowly for Kan, to the extent that when Kan came in front of Moi and talked for a few seconds, he then left. Moi didn't understand anything. Even Kan had finished his part-time job a long time ago and was lying on the ground like the dead from boredom. Days were passing so quickly that he needed new underwear, and when Moi bought the clothes and handed them to Kan, he started crying in front of Moi and then left after a few seconds. After that, we see Kigo coming to their home, and after seeing Kan's condition, he was very surprised and suggested an idea that they could record Kan's voice. After that, they could listen to him at slow motion. When they heard that, they were surprised because this idea hadn't crossed their minds. But then Kan came in and started talking to them slowly. He told them he had been trying to train himself to talk slowly for a long time until he mastered it. After hearing that, everyone was astonished. On the other hand, Kan was very happy to talk to them normally. After that, they all spent time together laughing. Kan even showed them how to walk slowly. They sat happily at the dining table, and then we shift to the next day's scene. When Kan returned to normal state, the shock was that Kan was terrified because Moi and Nico were now way too fast for him since he had gotten used to speaking and walking slowly. Even though he had returned to his normal self, he was still talking slowly. Kara goes to Nico and tells her that she has a very important document that was accidentally destroyed by a shredder. She asks if Nico can help her using magic. Nico, shocked by what she sees and hears, says that Kara must give her favorite dress in exchange for her help. Nico tells her that if she wants her to fix a specific paper, it must be alone and not mixed with other papers. She thinks this will be very difficult because they won't be able to separate all the paper. After hearing that, Kara feels very sad, and here Moi asks Kara how this important paper was accidentally shredded. Kara says that the paper belonged to her mother, who died a year ago from some illness, and her father was the one who shredded the documents. She starts recalling what happened when she walked in on her dad and noticed that he was reading a letter from her mother. She wonders if her mother wrote it when she was alive and says she needs to read the letter, but her dad stops her from doing that and tears the paper in the shredder, apologizing to her while doing so. Kara sees this and becomes very angry. Then Moi starts talking, saying it seems like there's something important written in the letter that her dad didn't want her to know. Nico gets excited and says she will help in any way she can. Kara replies that it seems almost impossible. Then she notices that Nico has started to separate the papers. Kara asks if she's crazy because, of course, they won't be able to separate the papers they need, but Nico says the letter papers are green, so she can separate them. After seeing Nico, Moi also begins to help her. Kara says this task seems impossible and there's no need for them to do it. Then Moi tells her about a time when he was in 4th grade and built a castle out of toothpicks, so for him, nothing is impossible. Nico says she would be happy to help Kara, even if it takes time, because Kara has always helped her. After hearing this, Kara becomes emotional and hugs Nico tightly, and then starts separating the papers as well. While they're separating the papers, they talk a lot, and Kara reveals that she already knows what was written in that paper, but she wants to confirm her mother's letter. She says that her dad is not her biological father, and that she already knew this before. She tells them that when she was in 7th grade, she went to visit her relatives and heard the truth from them. She says she was shocked, but it didn't affect her much because she felt that her parents loved her a lot, and she accepted that situation. To her dad is the one who raised her and took care of her, not anyone else. Moi says it would be different for him, that's why he understands. After a long time, they all manage to gather the papers, and everyone is happy. Kara thanks them for their help. Then it's Nico's turn to use her magic, and she uses it, turning the paper scraps into a letter. They're amazed by Nico's magic, and Kara starts reading the letter, where her mother has written an apology to her. She tells her that she was sick and didn't know how long she would live, so she would only write what she wanted to tell her. In the letter, Kara is shocked to find out her mother wrote that she is not her biological mother. Her real mother left her father and ran away after giving birth to her, and her father raised her alone until he met the mother who actually raised her. Then suddenly, Kara's dad comes in and tells them they shouldn't have read that letter, but Moi says he shouldn't do that because Kara's mother wrote her a letter to know all these things, and it's her right to know. He shouldn't impose his feelings on her. Then Kara's dad says he received the letter by mail after her mother passed away, and he didn't want Kara to know about her second mother. Otherwise, it could cause problems in the relationship with the mother who raised her, as she cherished her mom a lot and said she resembles her. After that, Kara becomes very emotional and says her dad should have told her that, insisting that her feelings towards her mother will never change. She expresses her respect for her mother, no matter what. Then Kara's dad becomes very emotional and starts crying, apologizing to Kara and asking her to forgive him. Nico tells Kara that she needs to read more, and then Kara starts reading. Her mother had written that she wanted to keep this matter a secret until Kara grew up. She wished she could tell Kara about it face to face, but fate had other plans. She still remembers that moment when she first met Kara with her father, and she was very happy to see her at that time. From that day on, Kara won her heart, and she was so happy that Kara would become her daughter. She didn't have any daughter but her, and from that day, she had her perfect life with a husband and a lovely daughter, and she only knew happiness with her family. Thank you so much for becoming my daughter, Kara. Then Kara starts crying heavily, deeply affected by her mother's words. Her mother says, "Don't worry, we'll meet again in the afterlife. I will be waiting for you." At that moment, both the father and daughter embrace each other. After that, we see Moi and Nico walking by the river. Moi was happy to help Kara and was trying to talk to Nico, but Nico became emotional and said that if she spoke now, she would cry because she was affected. Then, suddenly, her bag lights up, revealing that her magical stone had turned whiter to help Kara. Nico then says she has an idea, and Moi supports her in this. The scene shifts to school where Nico posted a notice for anyone who needs her help. Suddenly, Kan approaches her and tells her that someone wants to help her. When Nico heard that, she became happy. Then a person named Horai enters. When they saw him, they were shocked because he looked very different and asked him if he was from a different country, to which he answered yes. He started talking about his daily routine and how the weather was great that day, saying strange things. Moi then told him that his words sounded like English, to which Horai clarified that this was because his father was an English teacher and he had many English books that he had been studying since he was little. Moi interrupted him and said, "Listen, dude, just tell us what you want." Horai explains that generally, he can talk well with people, but he can't talk to girls. Upon hearing this, Nico feels very happy and says, "So, it's about love?" And it seems he's interested in someone, which made Kan say to him, "Just go tell her your feelings." After that, Horai starts telling Kan many things about the girl. Kan says to him, "You need to talk to her well. You should let her know how you feel." Then Horai, who's a little hesitant, shows them 2 tickets. They are cinema tickets. He begins to say, "I'll ask her if she wants to go with me to watch the movie." When everyone heard this, they were shocked, thinking, "Dude, it seems he's going to ask her out." Then Horai asks Nico for a favor and says, "I want you to use some kind of magic to help me talk to her well." Nico replies, "I can use magic on you, but I want you to tell her your feelings yourself and in your own way, because there's nothing wrong with that." Upon hearing this, Horai became very happy and said, "Yes, you're right." After that, Moi encourages Horai, saying, "I know you can do it." Then the girl arrives, and everyone hides to watch the situation from a distance, starting to talk and wondering if Horai will be able to talk to her properly and express his feelings. Then Horai begins to talk with the girl, and shockingly, the girl resembled Horai in appearance and way of speaking, and her name was Nakora. They start having a detailed conversation amidst everyone's amazement. Then Horai turns to his friends and clearly states, "This is my girlfriend." They quickly begin talking and turn into a couple. Upon seeing this, the others are left in shock and huge joy. After that, everyone starts praising Horai, and he begins to thank them all for their help. Then Horai says, "Starting today, you are my new friends." But Kan didn't like watching movies, and Megami had already seen the film. Moi then says, "Nico, will you go with me to watch this movie?" Upon hearing that, Nico became very happy, thinking it was a date. She started preparing to go see the movie in Horai's way. After a short while, we see a scene where Megami, Nico, and Kan are talking amongst themselves. Nico was nervous, thinking about how to tell Moi that she wanted to go out on a date. Megami starts saying that Moi feels happy when he watches a comedy show and laughs a lot while watching it. They were trying to reassure Nico, saying that Moi has feelings, but he's a bit quirky. However, Nico felt very sad. Kan and Megami tell Nico that tomorrow she should observe Moi and understand his feelings without worrying about anything else. Then they leave her. Suddenly, Moi appears and asks them, "What are you doing in Nico's room?" Hearing that, Megami and Kan feel shocked and tense, saying, No, we were just playing poker, and she needs to read facial expressions. Moi responds, if you didn't invite me because my face is hard for you to read, that's okay. I would have refused anyway. And as he walks away, he looks sad, saying, but I would have been happy if you had remembered me and invited me. After that, Moi sits in his room thinking. We also see Nico searching for a spell, and the next day, Nico comes and tells Moi about the spell, which is a spell to make Moi express his feelings. She says, I didn't want to use it on you without your permission. I know you would say no, but Moi says, I don't mind, you can use it. He starts to say, if it's hard for you to read my facial expressions, and if this spell would help me improve my relationships with others, you can do it. Upon hearing that, Nico feels very happy and uses the spell. At first, it seems that nothing happened, but suddenly, something small that looks like Moi comes out of his head, and Moi says, I don't feel like anything happened, but the small Moi is very confused, which makes Nico realize that this is the result of the spell. After that, Moi starts saying, let's forget the spell. We need to get ready to go quickly. The small Moi is extremely excited. Upon seeing that, Nico feels happy because she'll be able to understand Moi's feelings now. Then we see Moi ready to go, and Nico comes wearing a yukata. Moi is impressed by her but tries to hide it and asks Nico, why are you wearing a yukata? Nico responds that they're going to the festival, so it would be a great outfit. Moi begins to show that he's not interested, but the smaller Moi is very excited and seems to be very fond of Nico. After that, the two go to watch the movie, and Moi starts explaining the concept of the film since Nico knows nothing about it. Moi explains that the movie contains romance, horror, and comedy all at once, and the movie starts. But Nico is not watching it much. She focuses more on the expressions of the smaller Moi. During a horror scene, he looks very scared. When a romantic scene comes, he's very emotional. When a comedic scene appears, he laughs a lot. Nico thinks, it really looks very interesting when I see it this way. I hope he stays like this forever. I wish the real Moi is always like that. After that, the film finally ends and they exit the theater. Nico asks, how was the movie for you? He says it was good, but from the sight of the smaller Moi, it was clear that he was dancing passionately and loved the movie a lot. He starts talking about the movie and its events, and suddenly a child runs by, accidentally dropping popcorn. But before the popcorn falls, Moi picks it all up and hands it back to the child, leaving the child stunned and very happy. And Nico starts praising Moi, thinking that Moi is really very sweet. He always tries to make everyone happy. After that, the two enjoy themselves a lot at the festival. Most of Nico's focus was on the smaller Moi. After that, the fireworks start, and upon seeing that, Nico feels a wonderful feeling. Then Moi says, what do my expressions say now? After that, Moi starts apologizing, saying, I don't express myself much, so I'm sorry. Nico reassures him that he doesn't have to apologize for that at all. After that, Moi starts to say, when you get into a fight, it's hard to read your enemy's facial expressions. That's why I have to hide my feelings a lot. After that, the spell on Moi disappears, and Nico starts saying, I just want to be with you to understand your feelings, how you think. And I know you're very kind, and your heart is very pure. Then Moi feels very happy and starts talking about his childhood, saying, I had no friends, but then I met you, and now I have many friends. My life is no longer bad at all. Honestly, I feel happy, and every day is fun for me. Upon hearing that, Nico becomes very emotional and happy. After that, Kan also sends a picture of himself with Megami at the festival, and Nico says it looks like they're having a lot of fun. We should also go to them. But Moi says, no, we'll spend time together. Upon hearing this, Nico feels very happy and asks Moi what kind of sweets she wants. The next day, we see Nico and her friend taking photos of the school from the sky while flying on Nico's broom. After they finished, Nico's friend thanks her happily and says it was her life's dream to take a photo of the school from the sky, and Nico made it happen. She's so happy to have a witch like her at school. Nico was very happy with these words from her friend, then said goodbye and left. Nico and Moi noticed that Nico's stone had changed color, which made Nico very happy because things were going smoothly. While they were standing, Moi notices a sharp rose coming toward them. He tries to save Nico and get her away from the place when suddenly a girl in revealing clothes appears saying she's from the student council. Moi was shocked by her appearance, and this girl started flirting with Moi. Of course, Nico felt jealous and tried to get her away from him. Moi was annoyed by the rose this girl threw at them, so she told them it was an immature rose and not harmful. She said she came for Nico because a law was issued preventing her from using her magic at school since it could be harmful to students. Nico and Moi felt shocked and were very sad. Moi was very angry and objected to this decision. The girl started flirting with him again and said her name was Ibara, and she's the vice president of the school. She said she was happy to meet them, but Moi was puzzled by her manner. He said this girl is very stereotypical and resembles anime characters who do predictable actions. This angered Ibara, and she threw another rose at Moi, which confirmed she was a stereotypical character. She said the other council members were very angry about his words. So Moi said, let's see them and I'll decide if they're stereotypical too. If they are, I'm sure they're hiding around here. Then one of the council members came out and told Moi, I congratulate you, you exposed us. This person was the other vice president named Yazoru. Moi was shocked by this character and said he's stereotypical too, which was proven when Yazoru opened only one eye while speaking seriously. Then two more characters appeared, two small girls responsible for the council's secrets, one scary and the other very nice. He said they're all stereotypical. Then Moi's phone spoke on its own. It was hacked by the council treasurer, a first-year kid but very smart. Then another character emerged from underground, a muscular person named Burst, responsible for public affairs who resembled the Joker and was mentally unstable, loving knives. Another crazy character appeared resembling a robot, which made Moi very angry. He told them to stop and asked how many of them there were. Are you the Avengers or what? Can you do your duties as a school council this way? They showed regret, and Moi was very angry and decided to leave, but the council members tried to stop him. All council members attacked, but Moi defeated them all with one strike. Yazoru said this person is very strong, but Moi said you're the weak ones. Then someone appeared speaking and apologizing. This seemed to be the council president. All council members stood up respectfully when this person spoke and apologized for what his followers did. He came down the stairs and Moi was annoyed by his manner. This person introduced himself as Tenryo Kiyomiya and appeared to be Suzuka's brother. Tenryo thanked Moi and Nico for helping his sister. Moi asked him if he knows they helped his sister. Why is he stopping the magic that helped her? Nico works hard every day to help students. Why stand in her way? Tenryo said Moi has become mature to speak this way, but Moi was very angry at Tenryo's way of speaking and asked why his words are limited and why he's still holding his hat. It turned out Tenryo is attached to his hat like in JoJo anime, which angered Moi more. The council members tried to support their president, but Moi stopped them with his anger. Tenryo apologized again and said he accepts Nico's magic because it helped his sister a lot. But there's a division among student council members. Some accept Nico's magic and others don't. They want to help students themselves to gain fame. Moi understood they're just jealous of Nico. Tenryo told him he'll try to study the matter again, but there's something else. Tenryo told Moi his reaction in defending Nico was wonderful, and that's what the student council needs. He offered Moi to join the student council and asked what he thinks the council currently lacks. Moi said awareness and proper organization. Tenryo said that's wrong. What the council lacks is a strong person who can fight calmly, and Moi is perfect for this. He wants him to join them. Moi was puzzled by Tenryo's way of speaking and didn't like what was happening, so he decided to leave. Tenryo asked the council members to follow him, but Moi used Nico's broom and flew away. The council members didn't like Moi, who felt the same about them, and said it's impossible to join a group like this. After that, we see Megami and Gan had gone up to the school roof to meet Moi and Nico and brought them their things. Gan asked what's happening, so Moi told him the student council president liked him and wanted him to join the council. Gan said what's the problem with joining? Moi said you don't know anything about them, that's why you're telling me to join. Megami said he heard about them and there's an introductory video about them. When they opened the video, its style was strange and greatly annoyed Moi, but he watched it anyway. Gan and Megami were shocked by the first character, but Moi told them there are 8 other characters with the same stereotypes, which shocked Gan and Megami more. The characters started introducing themselves one after another, but I won't introduce them again. What's clear is that Megami, Nico, Gan, and Moi were all shocked by these characters and uncomfortable with them and their manner. They were all eccentric. But in the middle of the video, all council members were gathered and seemed happy. Then the council members started bringing out issues they need to solve, and the council president was handling matters well, which impressed Gan. But on the other hand, Moi was shocked at himself because he found there are common things between him and the student council president and understood his actions well, which gave Moi a headache. We see that Tenryo since childhood was raised to become a king or leader. That's why Tenryo liked people with the same qualities. So he gathered this team and asked them all to support him and stand by him. Moi and the others were shocked by what they're watching, and Moi was thinking to himself, saying, now I understand why I didn't hate this person. There's a similarity between us. Nico was worried about Moi, but suddenly Tenryo appeared and said, I'll make you join the student council Moi, no matter what happens. But I don't like forcing others to do things, so I'll challenge you. If I beat you in the challenge Moi, you'll join the council. He said the challenge is that Tenryo will try to attack Moi anytime, and if he touches him once, Moi will join them. Moi said these rules are illogical, but Tenryo didn't care and started attacking Moi right away while Moi tried to escape from him. The next day we see someone trying to ring Moi's doorbell. It turned out to be the girl named Nemo, who was very embarrassed. She started thinking that Moi lives with other people and she won't be able to talk to him as she wants, so she decided to leave. While leaving, she saw Moi coming from afar and said this is her chance. When Moi approached, he found Nemo, but this time in cat form. He welcomed her and offered her to come inside. Nemo entered with him, and when Moi entered the house, he found Nico and Gon watching a comedy about stray cats, which annoyed Nemo. But on the contrary, Moi was laughing and asked about his series, but it hadn't aired yet. Then Moi explained that the cat returned again. Nico welcomed her a lot, but accidentally spilled a cup of juice on her. Moi decided to take her to bathe. Nemo was very hesitant, but agreed in the end. Moi was washing her well, and Nemo felt very good between relaxation and comfort until she fell asleep and found herself under the shower with Moi drying her. She felt good again and tried to prevent herself from sleeping this time, but sleep overcame her. She only woke up in her normal size, but no one noticed her because they were laughing at the TV program. Nemo took the opportunity and escaped quickly, then stood in the forest showing regret, saying she wishes this feeling of regret would end and she could join them directly, not secretly. Suddenly, Nemo was shocked from her place and seemed lost. She kept running in the forest until she found a hut inhabited by a strange person. Nemo noticed him, and this person was talking to another person saying preparations are almost finished and it seems they're planning something dangerous. Then the other person, who turned out to be a witch, said capture Nico and Akatsuki, which shocked Nemo. She started running to tell Moi what's happening. There was really heavy rain, and when Gon and Moe noticed this, Gon said, "I'll stay at school, you two go home." Moe and Nico started heading home, and Moe was very anxious because the prophecy mentioned it would happen with two things, rain and dogs. Suddenly, a girl appeared in front of them, and Moe asked, "Who are you exactly?" It turned out the girl was Nemo the cat, and of course, Moe didn't know her real appearance. She introduced herself as a witch. After that, we see a scene with Megami and a person who was bothering him, saying, "You didn't listen to me, so you have to be punished." Here, we learn that this person wanted Megami's sneakers, but Megami refused. We find out this person's name is Moto, who was Megami's classmate in middle school. He was nice, but he turned into a delinquent when he got to high school. When Megami asked him what happened, he showed him a piece of candy and said, "This increases your abilities and makes you stronger than you can imagine. Do you want to try it?" But Megami refused, and then Moto started hitting him again. Suddenly, Gon appeared, hit Moto, and hung him with a rope, telling him he needed to apologize to Megami right now. Moto started begging Gon to let him down and forgive him, but Gon ignored him and asked Megami, "Are you okay?" Megami tried to hold himself together to make Gon think nothing was wrong, but suddenly he broke down and cried, saying to Gon, "Thank you so much, buddy. You came at the right time. I was really scared." After that, Gon started asking about where Moto got this candy and what exactly it was. Moto said it was just candy to relieve stress, called drops. To get it, you have to input your information on a secret website, and afterward, you'll receive the candy for free. Gon suggested they could report it and arrest the person behind it, removing it from the market, but Moto said that would be impossible because if they analyzed it, they would find it's just ordinary candy. Suddenly, Gon felt a strange energy from this candy energy like magic hand. He began to ask, "Who is distributing it?" Moto said there's a student distributing it to us, and no one knows anything about him. Nobody has seen his face or knows his real name, but he goes by the alias Wolf, and this guy distributes it to everyone in school for free. Gon was even more puzzled when he heard this, because he didn't understand what this person's goal was. Moto was laughing provocatively, while sharing the details, and said that if Wolf wanted to gather all the students he gave candy to, he could round them up in seconds because they all became his followers. At this point, Megami said anyone using this candy acts like a dog, meaning they become almost like a follower of the candy owner. Gon was shocked when he heard this. Next, the scene shifts to Moe's house, where Nemo was there, and Nico was trying to talk to her, but Nemo was very shy. Moe interrupted Nico, telling her to stop talking nonsense and focus on what's important. Nico's mom should know about Nemo's family. Nico confirmed this, and said that Nemo's family was from the elite. She started sharing details with Moe, saying she never imagined there was a witch from the Meow family, let alone one as beautiful as her. Nico was very happy to meet Nemo, but Nemo became shy again. She was thinking to herself, "I'm also happy to meet you as real people, but I can never let you know I met you before in cat form." Moe said he doesn't trust anyone because of the prophecy, but Nico shocked him by saying she already knew about the prophecy, and began to talk about Ibuki. She said for the first time, she felt a witch nearby, and had a very strange feeling. Nico was surprised by this, and seemed to not have a strong background on the subject. She began to say she knew a little about it, just some simple things her mom had told her. Here, Nemo started talking about two types of witches, a white witch and a black sorcerer. The white witch uses her magic to achieve justice, while the black sorcerer uses magic for evil and destruction. There had been a war among the witches in the past. Then, to identify the types of witches, they use an alert spell that is taught to witches from childhood. This helped reduce wars a bit until we thought there were no more sorcerers. However, it can't be said that a white witch can't become a black sorcerer. This could happen due to personal circumstances or a change in the witch's mindset. But the bad thing is that sorcerers can intermingle with humans, and no one is aware of them. Here, Moe understood why they used the alert spell. Nemo continued saying that she heard two strange individuals. One was a man and the other was a sorceress. She was saying, "Arrest Nico and Akatsuki." Moe was shocked when he heard this. He asked why Nico was being targeted, and Nemo replied that it's known Nico possesses immense magical power. At that point, Moe remembered the house that was destroyed when they were kids. Nemo began telling stories about Nico and said that this type of witch, like Nico, is born only once every 1,000 years. Their main work and goal is usually to help thousands of people, and Nico was very surprised when she heard this. We see a scene with Kan in school, thinking about the same person. Suddenly, the person with white hair appears next to Kan, and Kan says to him, "You're Wolf? I was waiting for you but expected you to be an old lady since you're handing out candy." This person tells Kan to follow him to a certain place, and the two start walking to the next location. After a while, we see Kan lying on the ground, indicating that a fierce battle had taken place between them. The person says to Kan, "You weren't as weak as I expected. I enjoyed fighting with you." Kan begins to think about how this person is so strong and figures it must be because of the candy. He starts thinking more about the candy and the prophecy, prophecy, suspecting that this person is related to Nico's prophecy and that he needs to protect her from him. The person tells Kan he knows Moi's time is coming, and Kan decides he won't give up. He responds, "Where are you going, buddy? I'm not done yet," and he's ready to fight again. He starts thinking about Moi and says in his mind, "You're really a good person, and I want to protect you. You're Nico." Kan resumes his fight with the person, and while the person is attacking him, Kan uses a cloaking robe to sneak up on him from behind. However, the person grabs Kan by the throat and says he loves fights like these because they make his blood boil. He hits Kan hard, but we don't see what happens next. We then return to Moi, Nemo, and Nico, who is very tense from Nemo's words. Nemo told her that her mother hid everything from her because anxiety creates troublemakers. At this moment, Nico asks Moi, "Am I going to hurt people with this power?" Moi doesn't answer her directly and asks Nemo if she's told anyone she's a witch. Nemo says no, explaining that she and her family used to tell anyone, but it caused them problems, which is why they kept it to themselves now. She starts telling a story. When Nico was young and told her friends that she was a witch, they distanced themselves from her, and no one wanted to be friends with her. Because of this pressure, her home was destroyed. Moi adds that he went through similar circumstances but managed to control his power through meditation. However, Nico can't do that, and he continues that he wasn't able to protect Nico when they were younger, which hurt him, but now he'll protect her no matter what. Nico blushes deeply when she hears this and says, "I'll go get you snacks." She has hearts on her face because of Moi's words, but Nemo feels jealous. After that, they heard a noise outside the house, and when they went out, they were shocked to find Kan lying unconscious on the ground outside. They brought Kan into the house, and Nico began to treat him. When she used healing magic, Nemo was surprised because healing magic is one of the hardest types of magic. Kan woke up and thanked her, but then Nico fainted, and Moi prepared a meal for her to regain her strength. Kan started talking about the person who hit him, and Nemo suggested it was definitely him and the troublemaker behind all this. At this point, Kan asks, "Who is this girl?" It was clear that he liked her. Moi explained that she found out about the troublemakers and came to warn them to be cautious. Nemo began to explain, "This witch puts her power into ordinary candy, turning it into special candy. When someone eats this candy more than once, the person who cast the spell can control them. That's what the troublemaker wants to create a huge army to take over this world. In my opinion, his first experiment might be with someone named Wolf." Here, Moi understands that the witch will make her followers attack Nico, so that the warning of the troublemakers doesn't activate. Moi says, "I know what I need to do," and asks Nemo if she can point out where the witch's house is. Nemo responds, "Unfortunately, I can't identify its exact location, but don't worry, I'll go make sure of it again." After that, Moi told Kan to rest tomorrow from school, saying Nico would go to school with him tomorrow, and as long as she's with him, she'll be completely safe. Nico was embarrassed but agreed to this. Nemo was surprised by Moi's calmness and discipline. The next day, Moi was arguing with someone who thought Moi wanted money from him, but after Moi breaks the wall, he asks the person where Wolf is. This person didn't know anything about Wolf and started to run away. Nico tried to help and decided to cast her spell, but ironically the spell backfired on them because Moi fell to the ground, and the other person was skilled at skating, making it impossible for Moi to catch him. At that moment, Megami appeared, revealing that he was also a great skater and managed to catch the person. After he caught him, Moi said, "Look, I'm not going to waste my time with nonsense. Calmly tell me where Wolf is." The other person also replied, "I've only seen Wolf once, and he was hitting a lot of people who tried to resell his drugs." After that, Moi asked, "What does he look like? Draw him for us." The drawing was really bad, but this person said that Wolf mentioned there would be a meeting soon. After that, Moi, Megami, and Nico sat down, and Moi asked Megami not to get involved because it was serious. At this point, Megami shocked them when he told them that he was connected to Wolf and that he communicated with him through messages on the site. Moi and Nico were extremely surprised and wondered why Megami was putting himself at risk for them. Megami then told them that after he was involved in a car accident with his mother and siblings and couldn't skate anymore, he became a useless man. He also had to quit all the work he was doing and spent most of his time at home, which made him isolated, and that's why he didn't have many friends. He said, "I became completely desperate, but then I met all of you, and I had such fun times, and you all became my friends. If you trust me, I can do this for you and help you in any way." Moi was affected by his words and said, "We will accept your help, and if you get any information, let us know." Moi and Nico were on their way home when they received a message from Nemo saying she couldn't find their house but would continue searching tomorrow. Nico thought to herself that Megami and Nemo were helping them a lot, but she couldn't do anything. Moi reflected on Nemo's words when she said that witches couldn't use their magic maliciously, so it was impossible for Nico to help them in battle. After that, we see a scene of Nemo searching for the place in vain and realizing she had entered the location of the witch through a spell. She thought to herself as she remembered, "I was walking down the road and suddenly ended up in the forest, and I started looking for the spell." Then we see Wolf and the witch. Wolf was looking bored, so he was training there. Wolf and the witch started talking about the plan. The witch asked Wolf to gather 50 dogs so they could all attack Nico. We see that Nemo arrived at the location and was listening to everything being said while hiding. Nemo was shocked when she heard they would attack tonight and was trying to escape, but the witch caught her and said, "I know you're a witch, witch, and I also know which Meow family you belong to. But why are you here? Are you with Nico? It doesn't matter. I will kill you anyway. But Wolf opposed her, grabbed Nemo, and said he wouldn't kill a cat. The witch objected to this, and called Wolf the companion creature, which shocked Nemo. Then suddenly, Nemo fainted due to her love, and the witch threw her into her mouth. After fainting, Nemo returned to her human form, and when Wolf saw that, he was extremely surprised. The witch told him that Nemo was just sleeping and asked him to throw Nico anywhere because she would seal this place anyway, and Nemo couldn't escape now, so they should leave her and execute their plan to gather the 50 dogs to catch Nico. As for you, take care of this monster, said Wolf. I've been waiting for this moment for a long time, and I'm really excited to fight this. After that, we see Moi and Nico working on their plan, as they knew the dogs would catch Nico while Wolf would attack Moi. Then Kan started telling Moi and said, to be honest bro, Wolf is really strong and you need to be careful. Moi told him, you Kan, used a method unworthy of you and fought him hand to hand just to protect me. Kan felt embarrassed and said, no bro. At that moment, my excitement suddenly increased. I felt hyped up inside and I didn't know Wolf would be this strong. Moi began to tell them that he would fight Wolf one-on-one and that he would need Nico's help with her magic. Nico was happy when she heard this. Then Moi explained that Kan needed to sideline the witch, and if he managed to do that, perhaps all the students would return to normal. Suddenly, Megami arrived and told them that many zombies, meaning the students, had gathered in the garden and were all coming here to catch Nico. Nico panicked, but he said he wouldn't let them catch her. Then, they all started working according to their plans and began moving together. At that point, Nico tried to calm down, and Kan said to her, you know, I always wished to be a normal person without powers, but seeing you help so many people made me want to use my power to help them too. I think this is the right time to use our powers, so don't worry. Nico was happy and touched by his words. After that, Megami asked if Nico could heal their wounds after the battle, and Moi said, yes, but I know you're asking this to heal your old injury, but unfortunately, Nico can't do that. Megami tried to deny it, then suddenly started tying his shoelaces and said, you all go ahead. Suddenly, Moi stepped on the same instant teleportation magic and transferred to the witch's place. Megami followed him, and Kan was shocked, wondering where both of them had gone. We returned to Moi, who was extremely surprised and said to Megami, thank you very much for trusting me. I found out about your plans and knew that if you all gathered, you would win, and that's why I had to separate you all. I can't lose to you. Then we learned that the witch had offered Megami a deal, and that if he completed this deal, she would grant him a wish. Megami remembered the accident and seemed willing to do anything to restore his foot to what it was. The witch told him, if you help me, I will make you perfectly fine again, just like before the incident, and I will give you my potion that heals the body in exchange for your cooperation. Megami started telling Moi about this and said to him, bro, I have no choice now either. The witch dies, or I die if I defy her after completing this deal. That's why I became your friend and earned your trust so you could tell me your plans. Moi was shocked and asked Megami, are you from the family of companion creatures? Megami told him, it's a very old story. We used to transform in the past into wolves if we looked at any form of the moon, but now I transform when I look at the moon, just not exactly like a wolf. Moi was shocked and couldn't believe what was happening. Megami said, once I transform, I change into a completely different person, not like a wolf but like an aggressive person with superpowers, and it became clear that Megami was the white-haired werewolf, Wolf. After Moi discovered that Megami is Wolf, he was shocked to see it. Megami began attacking Moi relentlessly and managed to knock Moi away, thinking he would win the fight. Then Wolf remembered the witch's earlier warning, where she said Moi is extremely tough. At that moment, Moi stood up and said, that's enough, and landed a single strong punch on Megami, knocking him out cold. Then we see Nemo regaining consciousness, checking her phone, and saying she needs to tell Moi and the others what happened. That's when she found a message telling her about the garden she should go to. Next, we see Gan and Nico in Kojo Garden, where an army of zombie humans had gathered. Gan was trying to call Moi but got no answer, and the zombies were getting ready for battle. They realized they had to handle things themselves, or all the monsters would destroy them. Gan and Nico felt sad because they depended on Moi too much, but Nico said she was worried about Gan because of his injuries. Still, she decided to do her best, saying she was confident they could win. She remembered the sergeant's encouraging words, which boosted her a bit, and then used the invisibility spell she'd cast before to help a student in the past. Their plan was simple, to sneak through the zombies while invisible, find the witch who turned everyone into zombies, and then when Nico found her, Gan would take her down immediately, which would end the spell's effect. The two rushed in, trying not to touch any zombies. But the witch realized they were there, and warned her zombies that traitors were among them. So the zombies started attacking each other, since they couldn't see Gan and Nico, and didn't know who the traitors were. The zombies lashed out violently and randomly, hoping to hit either of them. Gan and Nico retreated and hid, trying to figure out what to do next. Gan said he would fight them all alone, but Nico stopped him and said she had a strategic plan, explaining it to Gan, who was shocked. But she insisted, and suddenly Nico canceled her spell and flew out in front of the zombies to find whoever was controlling them. She began searching, sensed the presence of the witch, and noticed someone who looked very different. She told Gan about her. The witch realized she'd been found out and decided to use her power to locate Gan. She did, shocking Nico with how strong the witch was. Gan attacked many zombies, and the witch thought she'd won, but suddenly Gan appeared behind her, attacked, and defeated the witch with a single blow. It turned out Nico had used a splitting spell on Gan, making 2 Gans, which distracted the witch. They noticed the man they defeated wasn't moving, and Nico started to suspect he was the real witch. Suddenly, the witch came out of his hair in a tiny form and tried to escape. Gan was amazed at her boldness to appear in front of them, but he quickly swatted her down and captured her. Then we see a flashback from the witch's past. She was once an ordinary girl who wanted to learn magic. She discovered she was from a witch bloodline and began using her powers, thinking that would make her happy. She spent her life trying to strengthen her magic but failed and grew old. Then a mysterious person appeared and told her he could make her magic strong and her life longer, but she'd have to give up something in return. The witch said she didn't want to die and was ready to do anything for more power. She told all this to Gan and Nico and revealed that this man had tasked her with capturing Nico. The witch started rambling, explaining that the price for her increased power was being stuck in this tiny form. Gan lectured her, saying she failed because she didn't study the situation well, which angered her. She claimed she was supposed to return to her normal size if she succeeded in catching Nico. Gan tried to find out who was behind all this, but the witch refused to tell him. He started flicking her with his finger mercilessly. But suddenly, Nemo arrived too. She asked what had happened, and they told her that after the witch was defeated, the rest of the zombies turned back to normal and went home. Nemo said, "So this witch is responsible for all this?" Gan was surprised that she knew her before. Nemo told him that after learning the truth, she'd tried to reach them to tell them everything, but the witch had drugged her, making her sleep. Nemo asked about Moi, and Nico said they were on their way to the garden when Moi and Wolf suddenly disappeared. Nemo told them that Megami's family are wolves and that Wolf is the witch's special guardian creature. Everyone was shocked to hear this. Nemo added that Megami and Wolf are the same person, and she felt that Moi was in great danger and fighting Wolf now. Then we see the fight between Moi and Megami, which was very intense. Moi was stunned at Wolf's strength and speed. Wolf started explaining that Wolf is actually 2 personalities living in one body. They communicated through messages on the phone because Wolf retains Wolf's memories, but Wolf doesn't remember Wolf's. Moi spoke, too, saying he never liked talking to people or making friends, but after Nico appeared in his life, he now had lots of friends, including Wolf. Moi told Wolf, "You told me you enjoyed our friendship, and I could see the truth in your eyes." Those words angered Wolf, and they resumed fighting. During the battle, Wolf started to gain the upper hand and was about to land his final blow on Moi, but suddenly slipped on something under his feet. Wolf saw that Nico had arrived and realized she cast that spell. Moi seized the chance and delivered a very powerful punch to the wolf, causing him serious harm. Moi said, "We were evenly matched one-on-one, but now my friends are here, and it's over." Wolf was furious and couldn't believe the witch had been defeated. Nico was completely exhausted and collapsed from fatigue because she'd used so many magic spells today. What shocked Mui at the time was that Wolf said they should end the fight now, but then Nico started saying there was no need for fighting. Meanwhile, the captured sorceress was screaming at Wolf, telling him to kill them all and not to hesitate, which made Kan angry and he punished her. At that moment, Wolf surprised everyone and told them that if the sorceress died, he would die too, because there was an oath between them. This made the sorceress happy because she knew they wouldn't kill their friend. The battle resumed between Mui and Wolf with great intensity, and the others felt that Mui was starting to weaken. Mui carefully watched Wolf's techniques and how he was being attacked, remembering his own training with Kan, but Wolf kept having the upper hand and landing blows on Mui repeatedly. Wolf said, "I don't think you'll ever be able to beat me. You should surrender." But Mui refused, thinking to himself, "Nico, don't worry. Everything will be fine." Mui began to gather his strength, launching fast, consecutive punches like Luffy's attacks in One Piece, but Wolf dodged them all easily. In reality, Mui was studying Wolf's movements. Wolf started thinking Mui was tricking him and luring him onto the slippery ground. Wolf moved to the side to launch an attack of his own, but Mui predicted his move, trapped Wolf in his actual trap, and attacked him, wounding him and causing him to bleed. Mui then prepared for his finishing move, and everyone was cheering him on. The final attack was totally destructive, and with that blow, Mui finally defeated Wolf, though he didn't die. Everyone was overwhelmed with happiness. Nico ran over to Mui wanting to hug him, and Mui hugged her too to assure her she was okay. Nico was overjoyed, and Mui told her, "Sorry, I couldn't protect you properly." But Nico replied, "No need to apologize. Kan protected me, even while he was injured." She started crying a bit while thanking Mui for what he'd done for her. Kan was happy for them, but Nemo was extremely jealous at that moment. They went to the sorceress and asked her to free Megami. The evil sorceress said, "If I free him, you'll kill me. He's my only hope to survive." But Nico said, "We won't do that. I really don't understand the conflicts between witches and sorceresses, but I'll talk to my mother. If you want, you can live in peace in the witch's village. You'll have lots of friends, and you'll learn how to use your magic properly." The sorceress said, "Little girl, you're really kind." She was touched by Nico's words, and Nico wanted to know who was actually after her. The sorceress was just about to reveal the name, but suddenly she started screaming. Her size went back to normal, and she began to vanish and die before she could say the name, shocking everyone. Mui was terrified and looked at Megami, thinking he would die when the sorceress died, but Megami was safe and returned to normal. When Mui looked at the pact, he found it had disappeared and figured out it was because the sorceress had died. Megami then collapsed from exhaustion, but Mui supported him. Nico tried to heal him, but he refused because he had hurt them all, and Nico told him she wouldn't forgive him unless he told them everything he knew. Megami agreed to this, and he, Kan, and Mui went to talk inside the men's bath, which surprised Megami because of the unusual place, while Mui really enjoyed his bath. When Mui asked Megami if they were angry with him, they yelled at him, saying they were angry for sure but understood he'd done it to heal his injury. Then, from Nemo, we learned that the sorceress was lying to Megami and couldn't actually heal him because she wasn't born a witch. Nico, on the other hand, could do it, but magic for healing serious illnesses and injuries could only be used once by a real witch like Nico. Nico wanted to help Megami without hesitation, which shocked Nemo because the seal on the paper was still there, meaning the danger remained. But Nico was confident that Mui and Kan would protect her. Soon after, we see Megami inviting his friends to his house, and Megami's mother welcomes everyone. Mui was shocked when it turned out that the real patient was Megami's mother, who had become paralyzed because of the Guardian. Nico felt that something wasn't right, since she was sure that Megami would never betray them. After meeting everyone, Megami's mother told them she wasn't surprised by the kinds of friends her son had because, after all, he's a werewolf. Then Megami told the truth and admitted that he'd quit his hobby because he felt his werewolf powers would give him an unfair advantage, so he decided to retire long ago and used the incident as an excuse. He also admitted he made the deal with the sorceress to save his mother. At that point, Nico brought out the medicine, and Megami started using it on his mother. Everyone was stunned by what was happening, and in the end, Megami's mother was actually healed and could stand up. This made Megami burst into tears, thanking Nico for what she'd done for his mother, and began apologizing for deceiving them. Everyone was crying tears of happiness and touched by what happened. After that, they all gathered around the table at Megami's house. Megami's mother had prepared them a feast as a thank you, and everyone was happy. Then, we see that Megami will be going to live with Mui now because his mother is moving abroad to focus on her projects. Everyone was surprised by this, but Mui said as long as Megami is going to be Nico's guardian, he doesn't mind because he wants to protect her. So, Megami moved into Mui's house and started talking about his personality and hobbies. Kan was annoyed by all this, but Nico was happy. The next day, Megami woke up feeling embarrassed, seeing Moi preparing breakfast. He was thinking about what to say, then started saying some nonsensical things to appear interesting, but Moi didn't care. Then Nico came and said good morning, which made Megami even more shy. Nico and Moi started talking about breakfast, which was croissants. Nico asked Megami if he slept well, and he told her different nonsensical things from what he told Moi, which surprised Moi. Then Kan woke up choking on his toothbrush but recovered quickly. Kan asked Megami if he had tidied his room well, and for the third time, Megami said completely different nonsense from what he had said the previous 2 times, which shocked everyone. That's when Kan said that Megami is a kind and shy person, but he has a habit of trying to get attention by talking to appear interesting. After that, they all sat talking about how Megami transforms. They were shocked that anything crescent-shaped makes Megami transform, not just the crescent moon itself. Moi wondered that even if Megami transformed, there wouldn't be any problem since they wouldn't fight anymore. Megami said yes, but the problem is Wolf's personality. He's very selfish, hard to control, sleeps heavily, always has an open appetite, is very attractive to women, and all of this is the opposite of Megami's real personality. Megami was sad because of this, so they decided to hide anything crescent-shaped. They were all excited, and after 30 minutes they gathered everything in a box, but the shock was that Megami had disappeared. When they started looking for him, they saw that the croissant was crescent-shaped, so they understood that Megami had transformed and ran away. Then we see Wolf walking in the city with all women attracted to him. He was talking to them and taking them one after another easily, walking with an army of women behind him. During this time, Kan appeared and scolded Wolf and the women around him, but the women defended Wolf. Kan asked them to go home and went to Wolf, telling him that he had defeated him before but forgave him for that. What he wouldn't forgive him for is his fame and attraction to women. Then he asked him to return to Megami's form because they're not responsible for him and shouldn't have to look for someone like him like a small child. Wolf got angry and told Kan if he wanted him to do something, he had to force him. Kan was excited and they were about to start fighting, but Nico came at the right time and was talking to Wolf in a theatrical way, but he wasn't convinced. Then she tried to ask him gently to return to Megami's form, but he refused. Then she tried to ask him as a witch, because he's supposed to be her guardian creature and responsible for her. It was almost working, but Wolf said that between them is just a verbal contract and he is committed to it in case of danger. If Nico faces any problem, Wolf will protect her, but she shouldn't take away his freedom. Nico was convinced by his words. Then Moi finally appeared and told Wolf to return to Megami immediately. Wolf agreed right away, which shocked Nico and Kan and made them angry. Wolf explained that this is because Moi was able to defeat him, and wolves in a pack always follow the strongest wolf, called the alpha. This means that as long as Wolf can't defeat Moi, Moi will remain Wolf's alpha, and Wolf has to obey his orders. Until the day comes when Wolf defeats Moi, Wolf will do everything Moi says. Then Wolf returned to Megami's form, and Megami was shocked, thinking he would fight Moi. They set off on the way home, and Quan was saying that Megami faces a lot of trouble because of Wolf. But Megami said that despite everything, he doesn't hate Wolf at all, because there were many people who bothered him and bullied his mother. But after a while, he saw that these people were taken down one after another. another. After a while, Megami discovered that Wolf was the one doing all this. He says that if Wolf is violent, there is definitely a good reason for it, and I admire his courage and freedom, so I want you to get along with him. They all welcomed this. Then we see Nemo in front of Moi's house, thinking that she wants a strong guardian creature like Moi. She was thinking a lot about justifying her coming here and wishing she could ask Moi if it would be possible for him to be her companion creature. But in reality, she came here because she wants Moi to tame her as a cat as he used to do before. Then she decided to enter Moi's house as a cat today. When she entered, they all welcomed her, but she was shocked to see Megami living with them because Wolf knows that she is Nemo. She was afraid they would discover her secret and was wondering if Megami was here just for the holidays or what, but she was shocked when she heard that Megami now lives with them in the house. She was thinking if Megami had already told them the truth about Nemo, but she began to conclude from their interactions with her as a cat that all four of them don't know the truth and only Wolf knows it. She was checking the place with Moi to see if there was anything that would trigger Megami's transformation into Wolf, but she didn't find anything. Suddenly, a crescent appeared on the television and Megami transformed into Wolf immediately and began to get agitated. He went to the refrigerator and was eating and drinking everything he saw. He wanted to go out and hit some people, but Moi asked him to calm down, and he actually calmed down at that moment. Then he noticed the cat Nemo sleeping and trembling with fear. He was about to expose her secret, but whenever he tried to speak, the cat would scream, which shocked him. Then Moi came to brush the cat's hair, and she quickly jumped to him. Meanwhile, Khan was getting ready to go somewhere, and Moi too. Nico suggested going with him, but they found that the cat would cause a problem. Wolf was watching the situation and understood the cat's intentions. Then he mischievously decided to suggest that he would take care of her until they return home, which shocked the cat. After they all left, Wolf and Nemo remained alone. Nemo was shocked because Wolf had arranged for them to be alone. She said she wanted to talk to Wolf about something, but what shocked her was that Wolf told her everything that she was happy as Moi's pet cat and enjoyed being tamed by him. This was why she couldn't tell him the truth and tried to silence Wolf each time to keep her secret. This shocked Nemo because Wolf revealed everything true. Wolf told her this was because of his beast instinct, and now he knew her weakness. She admitted everything he said was true, so she wanted to make a deal with him. Wolf asked, "What is it, playful cat? By the way, I don't like how you're attracted to Moi," he said. She tried to justify that she wasn't attracted to him, but her body enjoyed the feeling of being tamed by Moi. Wolf called her a perverted, playful cat and said what matters is their agreement. Every month, she must place something in front of Megami to transform him again because he wants to train and surpass Moi. If he doesn't transform for long periods, his body becomes weak. If she does this, he won't tell anyone her secret. At that moment, everyone returned home. Wolf asked Nemo to turn back into a cat and held her in his hands to hide her from view, which embarrassed Nemo greatly. She remembered the feeling when Wolf first carried her to protect her from the witch, which felt good then too. She kept wondering why Wolf did this in the first place, but Wolf shouted at her to stop thinking and return to being a cat. She indeed transformed into a cat, and no one discovered her secret. When Nico entered, she was surprised to find the cat getting along with Wolf, and said she was a strange cat. Wolf said that as long as she's a female cat, all females are attracted to him, whether animals or humans. Moi didn't care about what was happening. In the end, Nemo was thinking about her bad situation, now being at Wolf's mercy. After this matter ended, we see Nico saying she wants to cook. Moi asked why, and tried to dissuade her by saying he knows the amount of flavors everyone needs, so he can cook for them without trouble. But Nico insisted, and it turned out she wanted to cook because of what her friend Kara said that those who can cook well can become famous. Nico was seeking fame to attract Moi's attention. Khan and Megami tried to dissuade Nico by mentioning all the bad food she had cooked before, which made her very angry. She said this time she would make them say the food is delicious, then stormed off to her room and started searching for a spell to make the food tasty. Moi was listening to what Nico was doing and knew she would use magic. The next day, we see Nico preparing food that looked strange even. She said it was bad. Then she took out a strange powder and said it didn't matter as long as she had this powder. Moi was stuck to the kitchen ceiling watching everything. He used his power to quickly grab the plates and managed to save one plate without the powder falling on it. He decided this plate would be his. When they sat at the dining table, everyone was hesitant to eat, but Moi started first and found the food disgusting. He decided to eat it all so Nico wouldn't discover what happened. Then we see that after the others ate the food with the powder, they showed strange expressions and all said the food was wonderful and delicious, making Moi wonder what was happening. After finishing the meal and sitting away, the expressions remained on their faces, making Moi think hard until he concluded they had fallen in love with the dish Nemo prepared. Megami began showing signs of withdrawal because he wanted the dish again and was screaming loudly. The same symptoms appeared on Khan. Moi was very angry about what was happening and tried to tell Megami and Khan they were under a spell. Then Nico came from outside, having bought ingredients for the same dish as a gift for Moi to attract his attention. Moi refused, making her cry, but then he pulled out the powder and shocked Nico, saying he knew everything. Nico tried to take the powder from Moi until the lid opened and the powder fell on her. Moi tried to wear a mask to avoid inhaling and being affected by the powder, but afterward, we saw Khan finding Nico very attractive and saying she was cute. That's when we understand that anything this powder is added to attracts anyone who inhales or consumes it. This happened to Kwan and Megami, who were attracted to Nico and she tried to push them away. Moi decided to take Nico and escape, flying away on a broom. While flying, Nico explained the spell to Moi that a witch created this powder to charm men's hearts. The shock was that the powder on Nico's head began flying throughout the city, and everyone who inhaled it became attracted to Nico until there was an army chasing them. So they landed and tried to hide. Moi asked Nico how to break the spell, and she said the witch must allow someone to kiss her. Moi immediately removed his mask and kissed Nico on the cheek, which embarrassed her and made her scream. But the method worked and everyone returned to normal. When Khan and Megami came to find out what happened, Nico told them what Moi did, shocking Khan and Megami, who scolded Moi. But he told them it was just a kiss on the cheek to break the spell, not a big deal, and they had done this before when they were little. Then he decided to leave, but for Nico, it was a bigger deal, and she thought Moi's heart was made of steel to be unaffected by what happened. Then we see Moi at home, remembering the day's events, and unable to sleep because of what happened, until his eyes turned red.